Okay, organizers, good time to start.
Yes, sir. Just received a call. Our panel judge for this round is also arriving in just a minute.
Who else are you expecting?
Judge, the second member of the jury.
Hi everyone. I hope you guys can hear me. A very warm welcome to the finals of the Global Social Responsibility Challenge 2023. And today, finally, we witnessed the culmination of the event that has gone on for so long and which sort of made sure that it embodies the growing importance of social responsibilities in all our lives. And we can see from the participation all around the world how interconnected we are as people. And we understand that the last few weeks have been intense. Mentorships have gone on. You guys have refined your ideas. And now it's the D-Day where we actually make sure that we present our ideas before our esteemed panel of judges and make sure that we give it our best shot. We hope that the entire endeavor has actually encouraged all of us to think creatively and develop our skills. And we really, really hope that it has been educational and enjoyable for all of you. We know that it has been for the entire organizing team. And with that, I declare the final round of the Global Social Responsibility Challenge open. Let's go ahead and introduce our respected judges for today.
Hello, everyone. So I'm here to introduce our first panel member of the day, our Professor Saurav Mukherjee. Saurav Mukherjee is an academic with over 2 decades of experience in program management, process improvement, teaching, and research. His expertise is in organization design, and his research interest is in sustainability and inclusivity. He has worked with IBM and Oracle in product management functions and for the Boston Consulting Group as a strategy consultant. He joined IIM Bangalore as a faculty member in 2003 and has since held various leadership positions in the institute. He is a professor and the dean of alumni relations and development. He is also a mentor and advisory board member for social enterprise. He is the author of the book Inclusive Business Models, Transforming Lives and Creating Livelihood. An avid follower of sports, Professor Mukherjee is an enthusiastic runner with participation in several cross-country marathons and explores ways to learn lessons and transfer lessons from sports to management.
Hello all. Let me allow you to introduce Joanne Flynn, who is the chairwoman of the ESG Institute. Her most recent book, Greenside, the Sustainability Handbook for Company Directors, helps boards and the C-suite address the twins challenges for growth and environment, social and governance. Her clients include startup ecosystems to Fortune 500 businesses and $1.5 billion funds. Twice a TEDx speaker, she's keynoted across 4 continents at corporate and industry events, ranging from the Asian banker to Workday. As a chairwoman of the ESG Institute, Joanne's focus is to accelerate sustainability-driven business transformation with leaders seeking swift, calm, and effective results that work for people, planet, and profit.
Thank you, Shivangi. It'll be great if our participants can turn their cameras on if they're comfortable with it. It would allow all of us for a better experience. And it would be great if our judges could kindly share a couple of words before we go ahead with the first team of the day.
Yeah, hello to all the team. This is almost the midway of the competition. As I mentioned yesterday, I am very pleased to note such overwhelming participation and teams from all over the world. We listened to excellent presentations yesterday from 9 teams, and I understand that there are 9 more teams here. Competition is tough, but the purpose here is to also develop our understanding of the social space. And I think that's the key takeaway for all of us from this particular exercise. Some will win, some will not win, but that is just incidental of the process. But let's give it our best.
Wonderful. I would like to add a couple of words. Firstly, I am delighted to be here. It is a complete honor to be in collaboration with this sort of process, because it's the actions that each of you do, not just through what you're creating in this competition, but the ideas and the eventual collaborations that will come out of it to take your ideas further. So whichever group comes first out of the process that we're in, yes, you're slightly further ahead on the starting line, but it's my very firm belief that each and every one of you who've chosen to show up, to team up, and to deliver is going to be capable of creating some great impact over the next few years. And that impact is something the rest of the world will benefit from truly. So social responsibility begins with what we choose to do with each other. And this competition is an absolutely wonderful way of moving that forward. And for those of you who don't come first, and the reality in my life is I've rarely come first, but I've come a long way and I've done a lot of good in what I've done. First is temporary, good lasts forever. I look forward to hearing your presentations today.
Thank you so much, judges. With that, we can officially begin with the first presentation. Team HAYA Consulting. It would be great if you could kindly share your screen and go ahead. Just before we begin, to reiterate, we have 10 minutes of presentation for each team, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A, and it would be great if the teams could kindly adhere to it.
Hi, everyone. We're Team Hay Consulting. My name is Adam. I'm here with my colleague, Hai and Yuejia. We're going to start with an introduction on the Neem Oil Initiative. So as you can see on the left-hand side, currently India has 400 million population living in rural areas. The majority of them are small and marginal farmers. We found that over a third of them had no access to education. And because they have specialized crop, they have once a year earning opportunity during the crop season. These factors significantly limit their income opportunity. This is where GNFC's Neem Oil Initiative comes in. By paying seed collectors for neem seeds, they were able to increase agriculture labor income by 56%. And this led to more social improvements, such as empowering women, and reducing environmental impact on fertilizers. However, GNFC has struggled to scale this initiative for it to be long-term self-sustaining. So they have not fully realized the value of its oil from the collection. And that is the problem we're trying to address in this presentation. So we have a 3-part recommendation for this. First of all, we found GNFC lacks a consumer brand. So we recommend it to create a separate organic lifestyle brand for its name-based products. This allowed them to tap into a 2 trillion INR market. Second, GNFC has no established FMCG distribution network. So we found both online and offline channels for GNFC, allowing them to expose their product to over 17 million monthly visits. And lastly, there's a lot of competition in this space. And we recommend GNFC to partner with self-help groups to develop agents in these groups to distribute products. And this will give them access to over 250 million self-help group members. So we're going to dive into the specifics. When we first looked at GNFC's NeemC product portfolio, we recommend them to focus on personal care products such as soap, shampoo, hand wash. And this is for a couple of reasons. On the left-hand side bottom, there's a survey done by Minto. They found that 39% of the adults 35 to 44, they prefer traditional ingredient. And 45% of Indians switch to buying local. And 46 of 35 to 44-year-old women are keen on products with a social cause. These factors well position GNFC to capture the personal care market. And as you can see in the middle, the chart, Indian beauty and personal care market is growing at a rapid pace, and it's projected to hit 2 trillion by 2025. And within this space, on the right-hand side, we recommend GNFC to first start with targeting tier 1 and 2. This is because these cities capture 65% of the market. And the customers in this space, in these cities, they prefer social and health matters. And they also have a lot of online users in these cities, which allow GNFC to be more creative in their distribution channel. So now I'm going to pass it to Hai to talk about branding.
Okay, so first, as explained earlier, we propose to create a new brand under GNFC, which we name here neemcare, in which we emphasize caring for natural well-being and supporting development of rural areas. So the logo we created here features neem leaf forming heart shape, symbolizing care and empowerment. So we also suggest to focus on 3 important features, that is a premium product with 21% neem oil content, less than 5 micron filtration, and ethically sourced locally. So with this brand, we will focus on face, hand, product, hair, personal care, product portfolio. And in terms of packaging, we want to tailor to our targeted rural market first with family size and better value for money options. And when we expand to tier 3 for a rural market area, we can add more variety with smaller size, lower unit price options, for example. And in terms of distribution channel, currently GNFC has both online and offline channel. Online channel currently, they operate through Amazon and Flipkart. And this option allows us to reach large customer base, but due to current low brand strength in FCMG market, it's difficult for us to scale and lack of means for us to communicate our social story. As for offline, we already have certain reach with government store and commercial store as well. However, although this allows us to have high reach with existing footfall that they have, and aligned with the government initiative, this is highly competitive for sales space and can be costly sometimes. So with that, we suggest first for online channel, we can collaborate with specialized platform such as Nika and Purple. So their value position for high quality product will attract our target customer, and high number of visits will give us high reach. And second, in terms of offline channel, we propose to enhance the government-led store, but more of a targeted approach by collaborating with government handicap corporations. These are very well established with long history and also social mission that are aligned with us and exist at major cities through 29 state handicraft corporation. So we can leverage the relationship that we already have with them to scale. So coming next, we believe that taking this strategy through phases can help GNFC and its social story reach every corner of India. So targeting the major city is phase 1, as mentioned earlier, to expand, to establish our brand and the customer base. And once we have reached certain brand strength and awareness, we propose to move to rural area, also by empowering women through self-help group. So India has 12 million self-help groups across India with major women members, and movement are gaining more and more influence power in India society these days. So they have a significant potential for word of mouth distribution to over 250 million population. So this channel can mostly help, very effective to help us grow tier 3 and 4 or rural market. Moving on forward. So with that, I'd like to pass to Yueja to explain how are we going to implement and communicate our social story.
Thank you, Hai. So raising awareness about product selling points and social impact stories will be the first step for GNFC to penetrate the market. Instead of partnering with big influencers, we propose leveraging both micro KOL and KOC to maximize reach at a relatively low cost. Partnering with micro-influencers who align with neemcare's value and target market will help the brand to reach a specific audience segment that is highly engaged and more likely to be interested in the neem products. Additionally, reposting user-generated content from self-help groups, sales agents, and satisfied consumers will amplify authentic stories and product endorsements, building trust between the brand and consumers. To further amplify the social story, we propose incorporating a scannable barcode on the packaging along with the story. This barcode will allow consumers to explore the process and impact of the project and help the stories to be widely shared and create a deeper connection with the brand. Moving on, I would like to highlight in face of resource constraints, it's vital to leverage stakeholder strength to maintain a long-term success. We have identified key stakeholders who can support the mission. Internally, we have seen some resistance from the GNFC employees. So clear communication by sharing stories, product training, and seeking their feedback can create a sense of involvement in the project success and strengthen the workforce. Externally, customers are integral to the journey. As we suggested before, GNFC can highlight the positive impact of their purchase through packaging, brochures, and media to encourage active contribution. Additionally, GNFC should collaborate with governments to showcase the positive social and economic impact. By seeking their support for favorable policies or incentives, they can create an ecosystem that nurtures and expands the social initiatives. Also, media partnerships will amplify the message, reach a wider audience, and inspire others to join the cause. And now let's discuss how we measure the impact of the project. In the long run, we target to involve 1% members from the self-help groups, which is 2.5 million women. We identified 5 metrics to evaluate the impact. On the quantitative side, GNFC can track the number of women involved, the percentage increase in income, and the number of women-led enterprises. For qualitative, GNFC can survey and feedback to gauge skill development and shifts in societal attitudes towards women. In closing, our goal is that through the plan, GNFC can create lasting social impact and build better future for rural communities.
Your 10 minutes are done. Please conclude in 20 seconds.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much, team. That was a great presentation. We'll now hand over the stage to the judges, and it'll be great if you could kindly share any queries or any feedback that you have for the team.
John, would you go ahead?
Okay, I'll commence. Firstly, thank you very much for a swift overview of what you've been thinking in your direction. My key question is this: neem is very well known. The I mean, like when I say, and its value as for all the different properties it has, you know, it's got massive scientific backing. I mean, in truth, I remember my father's colleagues talking about neem 40 years ago. So, you know, I'm just going all that is incredibly well established. So what I haven't heard yet is what stopped it from being able to be taken up and used powerfully in the past. Because if you can't solve that, what you're doing is adding modern ideas onto a situation where many great minds have worked on it in the past. So did you take a look at what's either held the organization back or held the market back from being able to take up neem products in a material way?
I can take that question. I think there was a couple factors that limits GNFCs. One of them would be branding.
Sorry,
for sure. Yeah.
Sorry to jump in here, because thank you for going straight back to the correct part in the presentation, because you've covered the problem in the organization. Okay, that there's things that the organization's not doing yet. But where I'm coming from is, what's the challenge in the market that means that you actually truly need to address? Because I'm saying neem, the power of neem is like totally well known. You know, I'm not from India, but I know about neem. So, but my query is, what issue is it in the market that's meant that neem products and neem businesses have not been able to totally crack it? Because my concern would be that from an entrepreneurial point of view, we could do all these logical pieces from a business point of view, but if we haven't understood that issue in the market that slowed it down or made it not happen, the logical action is not going to deliver the results that you're really after. Did you have an opportunity to explore that?
Yeah, I think the properties of neem, I think part of it, I think the property is well known. At the same time, I think customers also prefer convenience. So integration of that property into daily product could be a potential breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the other point is what we have found is these consumer behavior changes post-COVID. So in a way, it's sort of like a trend, and these traditional ingredients are getting more popular these days.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you feel there's a space of market openness that didn't exist 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
Yes, correct.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
So my question is to some extent related to what Joan was asking, that it's not only about FMCG here. It is within FMCG a niche segment, which is in India we call it Ayurvedic, or it is natural products, right? So the market size is really not what you're talking about as an FMCG. It's a niche market there. And a very relevant question that she asked is what prevented for all this Ayurvedic segment or this natural segment to grow so fast? So, that's a question we need to answer. So that is what, in your assessment, you think is unique about GNFC that they will. First of all, sorry, I need to congratulate the team for your ability to get information about the Indian market, right? I mean, you have done a very good job of that. I can make out that you are not from India, but the kind of research that you have done, etc., is very nice, very, very appreciated. But what do you think is very unique about GNFC is neem product that will help them to win in the marketplace, right? Because finally we are saying, will they be competitive enough? India has very powerful Ayurvedic or natural ingredients brands, including multinationals like Unilever, who have also taken up that position. So why do you think GNFC will even be able to sell a single product in that market?
I can also take that question. I think yeah, personal care products could very much be like a commodity. However, GNFC really shines in that their leadership really focuses on the highest quality oil and producing alongside with that social story part. I think I definitely there's a lot of competition in such a product, and that's where I would say half is product and half really comes down to how they position themselves in the distribution strategies and how the brand tells their social story. I think consumer at the end of the day will relate much better to the impact and the story that they're trying to tell.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Team HAY, and thank you, judges, for your feedback. Can I now call upon Team Trilogy C? Team Trilogy.
Yeah, just a second. There's an issue with her side. Just a second. Yeah.
Just can you please give the go ahead for the presentation if you're fine with
Yes,
it?
yes. Okay, sure. So, good morning, everyone. We are Team Trilogic from NIT Rapport, and we are excited to present our analysis and propose solutions for the Global Social Responsibility Challenge. Just to add, by the time my presentation concludes, Bangalore would have registered 7 new startups, whereas Rameshwaram Cafe would have sold 57 dosa. Now, going through the research and objectives, it is to evaluate the impact and sustainability of GNFC's neem initiative, as well as to propose alternative strategies for maximizing the potential of neem oil in the FMCG sector and performing an impact analysis. Our methodology utilized consulting frameworks, including PESTEL and SWOT analysis, supplemented by information from trusted sources, industry reports, and reputed websites. We also conducted a survey using Google Form to get valuable insights. Now, before delving deep into our slides, let's have a look at the key findings from our analysis and proposed solution. Our analysis of GNFC's neem initiative reveals its strong demonstration of social responsibility. However, certain challenges hinder sustainability. GNFC's entry into the FMCG sector presents both advantages and disadvantages. To realize value from the excess neem oil, we suggest an alternative strategy that promotes social impact as well as the long-term business aspect that we are trying to show. Furthermore, we performed a thorough 4-point impact analysis which unveiled positive results.
Can I please interject, Rishi? Can you please put your camera on? That was an instruction provided for all the teams.
So I have my camera on, I guess.
Not.
So my camera is actually, I have joined with 2 devices, one for the microphone and one has my camera on.
You can continue.
Maybe something to do with camera. Your camera, does it have a film filter?
It is visible. No. It is visible also. I think it will be visible, right?
Yeah, we can see you on the other.
It is just because I am using the microphone for other device.
Okay, so what name do you have your camera on then? Because at the moment it highlights where your voice is coming from. So it's...
I'll
yeah, so I think organizers,
visible.
Organizers, what you can do is you can take away from Zoom anybody who has not switched on their camera. This will solve that problem. You have an option.
Moving on with our present.
You have option on the Zoom where you can not display anyone who is, or maybe we can do it from our.
We can do it for our side. It's just
I think we can do it from our side. Okay.
Hide non-video participant side.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. Please go ahead.
Okay, so moving, So addressing the social and business impact of GNFC's NEEM project, it has proven to be a transformative initiative. With a notable increase of 58% in income for seed collectors, it directly uplifts livelihoods. It also demonstrates social responsibility, fosters economic growth, and contributes to foreign exchange savings. Covering 5 states, 60 districts, and benefiting over 4.5 lakh individuals, the project's positive impact is quite evident. NEEM projects stand as a testament to its successful social and business outcomes, and that is what we conclude here. Now, continuing with our discussion, let's now focus on the key challenges faced by companies like GNFC in sustaining their social impact programs. In examining the challenges faced in maintaining their social impact programs, we conducted a pestle analysis to shed light on the potential obstacles that GNFC may face. To conclude, overcoming these challenges is crucial for GNFC and similar companies to achieve their social and business objectives effectively.
Before moving on to the next part of the question, here is a brief of the survey that we did. Our survey covered a significant sample size from 16 states, and our findings are as follows. 37.3% of the surveyed population is aware of GNFC, out of which 78.9% are familiar with neonate, but only 20% reported actual usage. In order to analyze GNFC's foray into the FMCG sector, we conducted a SWOT analysis, which reveals that their strengths include financial stability, unique selling proposition, and supply chain integration. They also have some weaknesses, including limited expertise and product range. Opportunities lie in growing demand for natural and organic products, market expansion, and innovation. However, intense competition, evolving consumer preferences, and supply chain management pose threats. Overall, GNFC can overcome challenges and drive growth through incremental progress and strategic marketing. GNFC's foray into the FMCG sector with neem oil-based products brings advantages such as cost effectiveness, natural and eco-friendly appeal, health benefits, brand building, market expansion, and innovation. The growing market size for personal care products further supports GNFC's potential in the FMCG sector. However, challenges include odor and skin irritation, limited product diversity, competition, and supply chain complexities. In summary, GNFC's neem oil-based products offer distinct advantages in the FMCG sector, while strategic considerations and alternative approaches can enhance their market position and overall success. To realize value from the excess neem oil while upholding their social mission, we propose this alternative strategy. Given that the global neem market size is expected to reach $5.2 billion at a CAGR of 16.2% by the year 2029. Our proposed strategy involves exporting the excess neem oil abroad and using a part of the profit for establishing the brand Neo Neem by focusing on marketing efforts to increase social impact and profitability. GNFC should differentiate their products through superior quality and sustainability, invest in continuous research and development for innovation and competitive advantage, and build long-term supplier relationships with fair pricing. By supporting farming practices and ensuring a stable supply chain, GNFC can communicate the superior benefits and sustainability of their neem-based products to customers. This alternative strategy, guided by the POTUS 5 Forces analysis, aims to create a self-sustainable model in the highly competitive FMCG sector. Now let's shift our focus to the next aspect. We will explore how GNFC's NEEM initiative showcases social responsibility towards the local community and the environment, highlighting its long-term business perspective. The initiative has created over 600,000 jobs and invested 44.36 lakhs in skill enhancement. The initiative promotes biodiversity conservation, reduces urea wastage, and decreases the carbon footprint. It ensures subsidized urea access for farmers, saving near about 10,000 crores, and enhances soil quality through neem-coated urea by increasing yield by 10%. GNFC prioritizes sustainable agriculture practices, poverty reduction, and social development. The initiative has been able to conserve around 45 million plus trees. They have generated sustainable employment and uplifted socioeconomic conditions. It also led to a 56% increase in women's income. In order to monitor GNFC's alignment of long-term benefits and business perspective with their social impact goals, conducting an impact analysis is very essential. And so we have proposed an impact analysis method in the upcoming slide.
Now moving on to the impact analysis, what GNFC is currently doing is they're looking onto the number of urea, which is 100% neem oil coated, produced by them, which is proportional to the neem oil produced, which in turn shows us the employment generated by them to the rural people. They also look onto the number of women employees, more specifically to directly assess the social impact. Other things that they do is that they arrange feedback sessions with the stakeholders of this project, such as the aggregators and the street collectors. They also rely on some third-party data to assess other environmental impacts, such as carbon sequestration, biodiversity enhancement, etc., through this project. Now, we feel that GNFC's strategy, if combined with the 4-point analysis framework, it can be more insightful and optimal in a quantitative sense. The 4-point impact framework is the 4 pillars, namely the BCR, benefit cost ratio, the cost effectiveness ratio, the NSP, and the poverty impact analysis. The BCR, which stands for the benefit cost ratio, if greater than 1, it tells us that the program is socially favorable. Similarly, the cost effectiveness ratio tells us about the cost effectiveness of the program. Lower the ratio, higher is the cost effectiveness of the program. Moving on to the NSB, or net social benefit, it accounts for the total amount generated through the project, which created social and environmental impact. Similarly, the PI is basically the effect analysis of the NEEM project on livelihood of the poor people involved in this project. Now, in conclusion, the methodology of GNFC is great in assessing the impact, but we can make it more quantitatively optimal by using the 4-point analysis framework. Next slide. So these are some resources that we used. And in the next part, we have attached a screenshot of the survey form that we did through Google Forms. So yeah, this was all from Team Trilogic. Thank you. We are open to questions now.
John, you can start. We can follow this sequence.
Wonderful. Very, very gracious and kind. Loved your presentation and the detail you've gone into. And the nuance that you've chosen to bring it. It's also useful to have you taking it into a different lens. So my questions are coming into, okay, so the collective already has an established strong social responsibility practice, and you've done a nice job of being able to pull that together. If you're forecasting out over a strategic period of, say, 5 years, what's going to be critical for that to be sustained, and where do you see opportunities for greater impact while preserving the economics that you've already identified?
So yeah, I can take that question. So the very first, the vision of GNFC is to create social impact, right? So instead of looking for the profits that we can obviously generate in the global market, the very good plan would be to just expand inwards of India so as to even generate profits, and so as to stay with your vision, that is to generate social impacts. If you're expanding inwards India, you'll be creating a lot of employments, you'll be generating a lot of income for rural people, and that also complies with the vision that we have. And that is the core principle of our alternative strategy that we have proposed.
Okay, I understand. So what doesn't leap out at me in the analysis is the alternative strategy is lovely, it's elegant. You talk about projecting forward to 2029 and on the compound annual growth rate, i.e. it's a financial metric. What I'm asking is, if you move to the next slide, I think it was. Yes. So here, what didn't leap out at me, and this is why I'm asking the question, is to project yourself forward and go, the way you'd languaged it, you talked about these things, this is what they've already achieved. Yes, because they have a social impact agenda that, they've done well, right? I'm going, what else do you see that's different?
So that is where we projected
the specific, like you would have seen things you're going like, well, this would be powerful. So I'm just asking you just to share in the question space, where would be like, oh, this particular thing would be powerful. We could see a significant shift in this, and this is what it would mean, as opposed to the straight line, a sense of history continuing.
Yeah, so the very first thing that we project, and is also important, is the 10,000 crore rupees savings that we will be doing, just because coating neem oil and that a lot of things will be saving a lot of fertilizers and pesticides. That is one aspect of GNFC. And if by doing that, like if you see our alternative strategy, we have proposed that we'll be exporting our neem oil and we'll be generating the profits and dividing into 2 sectors. That is to build new neem and again to do social impact. So like as you can see, the CAGR rate is 16.2%, and we expect the market to be $5.21 billion by 2029. So the market is quite large, And that is where we want to tap the market. So the model we try to make is quite self-sustainable. So even if, let's say after a year or two, GNFC detaches itself from this NEEM project, it won't have to basically depend on GNFC to sustain. And the model is quite self-sustainable.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you have, so if I understand your strategy correctly, are you asking them to get out of manufacturing soap and stuff like that and just export the neem oil? Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. Actually, what we are trying to project here is start from exporting your neem oil, because the most frequent issue that we also observed from our Google survey is that the marketing has not been done quite correctly, and not a lot of people know about GNFC's neem project or their FMCG products. So let's start by exporting neem oil, generate profit from there, and the profits that you generate, you can use that for social impacts as well. And most of the profits you can use to rebuild your brand inwards India. And then after a year or two, or let's say 3 years, you will be able to expand throughout the country, and then you can tap the global market. Why we chose not to tap the global market initially?
I don't see any number for the export market. I mean, how do you say you will make profits? What is your competitive advantage there?
So there are not a lot of key players across countries. Let's say the more like the markets of USA and Italy are the ones which we are tapping, because that generates most import of neem oil across the globe. So that is where we can tap that market and start by exporting our neem oil, generate profit, and then reinvest into the building our brand of neoneems.
How are you assuming to generate profit?
No, we're not assuming, sir. We have data that shows that 3 countries, let's say USA, China, and Italy, are the 3 countries that imports a lot of neem oil. And there are not a lot of key players involved there. So the market that is there that we can tap, right? We can export our neem oil to them. There are 3 companies also that are exporting from India. There's one biodiversity fuel company named, I'm not able to recall the name. So we have the quality of neem oil, right? The quality that we boast is quite good. Even in the FMCG sector, the differentiating factor will be the quality. Yeah, sorry.
So if your key strategy is to win in the export market, then you have to put that analysis, isn't it? Where is the analysis? I don't see that. I don't see names of competitors. I don't see the competitive advantage. I don't see any numbers there. So that's just an input. I mean, because in your entire presentation, what I liked about the fact that you are saying, okay, take the neem oil, don't worry about making soap, just export. It's great. But then beyond that, what? I mean, how do I get the confidence that you will actually be able to win in that market, make profit? It's not easy, right? Opportunities don't exist like that for some company, unknown company like GNFC to go and tap. You get my point, no? So it would have been good if you had focused on that part of the analysis to convince us that that's a viable market, right? Otherwise, one can ask the same question saying, why aren't you not giving neem oil to Indian companies? There is demand for neem oil in India also, right? Unilever, Patanjali, they would be manufacturing products using neem oil. Give it to them. Why are you going to the export market? So there has to be some analysis for saying why you make one choice over the other. All right. All right. Thanks. But otherwise, it's nice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, judges, for the feedback. Next, can I call upon Team Impact UVC?
We are here. Just give us a sec. Could we start?
Judges, if you can please. Yes, sir. This is sort of Joanne.
Are we good to start?
Go for it.
Yes, please go ahead. No, we are always ready. We are ready to.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, that's all right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. The team me, Subin, Emma, and Isabel are really excited to be showing our work on Global Social Responsibility Challenge here today. But before we get into our presentation, the agenda for today is first a brief overview of the NEEM project, and in particular, the entry into consumer goods market in India. We'll focus on answering the key question, what can GNFC do to realize value from the excess neem oil while maintaining their social mission? We will jump into our recommendation and also touch on the risk and mitigation strategies. So let's just get right into it. Emma?
Yeah, so I'll be starting us off with a quick overview of GNFC and their current products. The company currently specializes in creating chemicals, petrochemicals, and fertilizers. And now they've introduced neem oil and FMCG products into their line. With their new oil mill, they're able to produce neem oil for 91 rupees per kilogram. GNFC has the advantage of excess capacity, which they leverage alongside their values of innovation and CSR to create various product lines that generate additional revenue for the company, while simultaneously generating impact. Next slide, please. Looking at the FMCG industry in India, we can observe that the total market value as of 2018 was 4.33 trillion rupees. Breaking that down into revenue by category, skincare products such as soap had a market value of 216.5 billion rupees. In recent years, the industry has seen favorable growth rates due to factors like the e-commerce sites that are taking off. However, the market is dominated by global FMCG conglomerates. Finally, looking at sector composition, we can see that the majority of sales that come from in the FMCG area are coming from urban areas of India, meaning that there is a lot of opportunity for the company to expand.
Now let's analyze GNFC's foray into the FMCG market and how it impacted the social and business landscape. We can already see in the social landscape, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. We can see GNFC has been able to provide economic benefits like higher wages, supplementary source of income, and also empowered underprivileged women through training and employment. They also promoted natural farming and products. However, they did derail from their CSR mission in certain aspects. For example, like inclusion of child labor in certain states in Gujarat, also seasonality of the jobs that they are providing, and potentially alienating their current employees, which do not align with the vision that GNFC is going into. But we do commend GNFC for creating positive social impact in underprivileged communities while gaining a competitive advantage through new revenue streams. So we did a SWOT analysis for their business impact. So when we see their SWOT analysis, we can see GNFC enjoys high credibility in rural markets. They also have a vertically integrated manufacturing capability, because of which they are able to maximize product usage through economies of scope. Although there are well-established competitors in the market already, but with the rising wave of interest in natural products in India, there is a huge opportunity for GNFC to grow. There are certain threats in the industry like price sensitivity of consumers, government policies that could come in, health regulation and quality checks, and also with the lucrative market of $3 billion per annum, there is always threat of new entrants. So how can GNFC still position itself better in this market? So we have our 3E recommendation for this. Subin will take you through that.
So the 3E stands for empower, educate, and employ. So on the empower front, we are looking at 6 ways to achieve this. So the 6 of these are girl child education, awareness drives, women empowerment, SME investments, resource access, and sustainability awareness. The most important 3 among these are the girl child education, the SME investments, and the awareness drives. The girl child education is to to improve the education that is accessible to the girl child in these localities where NEEM initiatives are part of. The SME investment is to boom the local economy in that same process so that people have more income per capita in their family. And also the awareness drive is to let women know about their rights so that they are more aware of what all they can appeal for. On the sustainability awareness, we have put more impact on such a way that these companies also know how to improve their business sustainably rather than just improving their business without any view of environment. And then the women empowerment and resource access is on base of access to MOC services and also employable opportunities for the women in that locality.
The second pillar that is part of our recommendation is the educate pillar. Here we recommend for GNFC to partner up with regional NGOs that are aligned with its social responsibility mission. This would be a two-way partnership where GNFC gets an inflow of people for the NEEM project through the NGO network, but also where education, vocational training, and access to microfinancing is provided to NGO members that are involved in the project.
Next slide, please. Our third pillar is employ, and we recommend that GNFC establish various employment opportunities with the goals of creating 2.5 million jobs in rural Indian communities by 2021. In order to reach this goal, we will implement a multi-generational job development framework. We are recommending that GNFC expand opportunities by hiring full-time uneducated workers as seed processors and oil extractors. This work experience will allow citizens to make a better life for themselves and their children, allowing these people to engage in educational opportunities that will lead to higher paying jobs like retail workers and small business owners down the road. We recommend that GNFC provide grants and subsidies to support this sort of work through the profits they generate from their FMCG business lines. Finally, as the second generation earns more financial stability, they will be able to save their money and invest in their children's futures. This would involve obtaining post-secondary educations with the option to return back to their home communities by working in GNFC's management positions. It's important to note that our initiative follows a cyclical process. As workers advance within the organization and their companies grow, new job opportunities will be created, initiating a cycle of empowerment with GNFC's support financially all along the way.
In order to measure the impact of the recommendations that we're talking about, we have put some KPIs that we think will be more effective in understanding the CSR success. So they are bucketed into direct and indirect. So the direct KPIs are additional income, domestic violence, SME generation, and literacy rate. The indirect KPIs to look out for an additional income are the number of women employed and the change in family per capita income. The domestic violence will be the reduction in the number of domestic violence cases in the area where the initiative is a part of. And the SME generation will look more into the economic impact, the sector-wise impact, and the number of small and medium enterprises that are created due to direct and indirect link to the NEEM initiative. And the literacy rate will be the number of kids enrolled in the school and the improvement in education qualification from a baseline before to look after what happened when the NEEM initiative was a part of the community.
For financial takeaways, we mainly focused on whether or not GNFC's revenue growth expectations are realistic and what impact this growth would have in society. Our key takeaways are, number one, that for the business to reach its financial goals, a revenue growth rate of over 200% needs to be sustained into 2021. Second, supply of seeds needs to grow as well to match the required volume of product. And third, sales channels need to increase too, so empowering and educating collectors to set up their shops to propel sales, it's important. Next, we look at risk and mitigation strategies. And the first risk that we thought of is that there's a lack of trust from collectors. So to mitigate this, we suggest that GNFC leverage its relationships with service provider partners to employ collectors into different duties year-round, and to give them that way financial stability throughout the year. The second risk is having limited sales channels, making it hard to sell the product mix. To mitigate this, we suggest expanding into hospitality service and e-commerce sectors and empowering and educating collectors to set up retail channels, in turn providing work for their communities. And the third risk is in GNFC's lack of manufacturing capacity for consumer products. So to mitigate this, we suggest GNFC leverage its relationship with government and have them provide grants and low-interest loans for businesses to set up plans, manufacturing plans for consumer products, and for GNFC to partner as co-packers with the co-packers. Finally, we move on to our conclusion.
To conclude, we understood that the GNFC's NEEM initiative, it showcases a positive impact on its dependent community, and also our recommendation is to go beyond the current course of action because it's a 4 trillion INR market for FMCG, and GNFC will be easily able to attain its 5 billion INR by simply foraying more into the urban market, so that if they catch even a very small market percentage, they'll be able to get to their target. And also what happens is with higher literacy and disposable income that gets promoted by this empower, educate, and employ, it will provide a reliable
Team, your
workforce
10
and it
minutes
will
are
also
up.
help
Please
in
wrap up in 20
enhancement.
seconds.
Thank you.
Judges, can you please give feedback on this and ask any questions?
Okay. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Conclusion slides are always lovely. Okay. Thank you, because you touched on a point that I've been sitting with, which is, what is it going to take for them to financially sustain themselves while they generate this 30% profit that you're proposing to put to all these good uses? I applaud the good uses, love them. Thinking about, that's brilliant. So that the thing is, fundamental 101 is businesses need to be able to pay their debts as and when they fall due. I mean, it's sometimes it's easy to lose sight of this, fundamental truth. Is so. My question is, could you just expand on how it's going to balance the practical revenue over the next 3 years? Because any capital investments are going to take a while to pay off, to be able to be in this place to generate it.
Yeah, I can take this question. So if you look at the slide, this is the net present value that we have calculated. But in this, the only first investment for the first year was taken for the 7 lakh and 10 lakh for the expelling plant and as well as the soap manufacturing first investment. But going forward, as Isabel said, we'll be partnering up with, just like what IKEA did, using more capacity or excess capacity in some of the factories will let us not put more investment into capital heavy stuff, but use people who have extra capacity, because we are also then helping them use their capacity to the full. We are employing more people on that sense, and we are getting a profit also out of it. So if you look at it, we'll be trying to explore and find excess capacity factories throughout India and invest in them to help us make all these products that in that process.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So just stay with the financial slide. I don't know how you are arriving at these figures, in the sense that sales revenue is 150, seed cost is 150. Where do you get the profit from?
So the revenues are calculated based on the numbers given in the case, and they're, there. So it's broken per category, and the seed cost is based on the INR 6.5 per kilogram. So this has been shortened, which is why it looks at like 150 million for both revenue and costs, but it's just averaged.
No, sorry.
Like,
if the cost and revenue are 150 million, where did you get the gross profit from?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that it's, what's the word? It's like, it's average. The seed cost is actually 149, but it's average. So the gross profit is just counting sales revenue minus COGS.
Yeah, and you are assuming that it is 0.33%. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, where are your marketing costs? Where are your manufacturing costs? Where are your labor costs?
Yeah, of course, this is super simplified because we don't have information for those costs.
No, but
so
see, you are making an assumption that when you will become profitable, right? I mean, all your 3E framework is based on the fact that this is a profitable operation. How do you make this operation profitable? Otherwise, you will be scaling a hugely loss-making proposition and all your social impact will go out of the window.
Well, we did discuss using more organic marketing strategies to help scale this at a
but that is
relatively.
I only hear that as more
upfront
expense.
value.
Where are you going to make money?
well, if we're not spending a lot of money to roll out these marketing campaigns instead. So for example, something we discussed was implementing like advertisements on their soap products themselves for more job creation opportunities to get more workers in to create more seats. Another thing we discussed was partnering with hospitality industries so that when people are visiting in India, if they see our products, they would be more likely to buy as like a souvenir potentially. And it would be an opportunity to get out more organically. Same with when they're partnering with these education institutions that we talked about and the nonprofits by creating some good social like impact awareness. We're hoping that that will help expand like the mission and the outreach through those approaches.
Okay, thank you, Tim. I am done.
Thank you so much, team Impact BBC, for your presentation, and thank you, judges, for your questions. I would now like to
Thank you all.
Now can the team EF please count on and present the slides?
Yes, right on. Can you see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Perfect.
Please go ahead.
Are we good to go?
Yes, from my side.
Go for it.
Great. So good morning, everyone. Honorable jury, Vista 23 organizers, and the other participating teams. Welcome to Team EF presentation. I'm Davide Sant'Angelo, logged in from Italy. It's actually a little early in the morning here, but we're anyways very excited to be presenting our findings before you. So without further ado, let me start by saying a couple of words on Frame the Case. In March 2017, the starting line of GNFC's NEEM project found a supportive political climate. However, significant challenges threatened to impede GNFC's campaign in India. Here we present our plan to establish GNFC's unparalleled success while positively transforming the lives of the rural communities. Our agenda comprises 5 main points. These are the impact of the NEEM project on rural society, challenges slowing down GNFC's social impact, NEEM and production employed to decrease GNFC's dependence on urea, finally, a roadmap for strategic transformation from GNFC, and lastly, investing opportunities in a specific facility area. But let's now cut to the chase and talk about GNFC's social impact, which was assessed thanks to the work of NGOs like Nardis, for example, having employed financial and non-financial measurements to assess the number of people concretely helped by the project. How is that possible? Well, as you can see from the graphs on the right-hand side of the slide, thanks to the shock in the progressive salary increase, of course. Migration flows indeed lowered by far, parallelly boosting educational expense by more than 40%. It's also worthwhile mentioning GNFC's impact on the gender gap. In fact, rural women's working skills improved, resulting in a better household role for women living in the countryside and thus lowering domestic violence. All in all, an impressive result in our decade. And likewise, through its focus on increasing rural population income, the company has had a positive effect, speaking of business, expanding the market for its products by enhancing general purchasing power levels. And GNFC also gained a competitive edge in the fertilizer and FMCG markets by emphasizing product differentiation through purity and quality rather than price. And the project's positive social impact also enhanced the company's image and reputation, ultimately leading to improved efficiency, thanks to enhanced soil health and fertility, as well as increased crop yield and quality. However, PM promotion of alternate nutrients for agricultural management, commonly known as PM Premium Scheme, can be found as a potential inhibitor of the project, adding up to other 5 challenges. So firstly, obstacles in scaling the business, given the constraint in funding operations. Secondly, the pressure of living up to the company's financial performance parameters set by top management and other key stakeholders.
Thirdly, additional compliance costs arising from existing regulation of fertilization, urea, and other areas. Fourthly, an alarming climate change risk, which is crucial in our present age and compelling for GNSC's production. And lastly, the overall impact performance measurement, which is complicated by inconsistent data, especially on long-term estimates. Needless to say, beside obstacles, there are also upsides and of course other downsides in exploiting neem oil in the production chain. And honorable jury, I'll now leave the floor to my colleague Filippo, who will delve deeper into this topic and explain how to scale GNSC up thanks to an alternative investment solution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Davide. So let's talk about some advantages of GNFC's foray into the FMCG market. Starting, of course, from the expansion of their market opportunities. Of course, they are reaching a wider customer base with also in a market with a really increasing demand year on year. They can continue promoting, of course, the use of neem-based products for both the social contribution and environmental benefits. They are creating synergies with their existing businesses. In fact, they already have expertise in neem oil production, and they can already leverage their supply chain and their manufacturing capabilities to create, of course, FMCG products. But also, as we've seen, they are building a stronger brand image, trying to increase the customer awareness, loyalty, and also their long-term profitability. To fully exploit, though, the advantages, we believe that there should be further diversification, for example, with the use of neem oil pesticide, which with respect to synthetic pesticides is biodegradable and environmentally friendly. And it's, of course, less harmful to beneficial insects, just like bees or ladybugs. Now, let's talk about some disadvantages. For example, the fact that this sector is a very high competitive sector with many established players and many entry barriers. For example, the distribution networks, but also the shelf space in retail stores. And also, we have to say that GNFC, being a chemical and fertilizer company, may lack the necessary expertise to develop, market, and of course, manage at the retail level all their product base, which could risk also internal cannibalization through competition between their existing business units and this new FMCG division. But to mitigate these disadvantages, they could enter the market indirectly through strategic partnerships or joint venture with established companies to supply neem oil as a raw material. Then, of course, they could do B2B sales, but also they could license their production technology to other companies to allow, of course, them to manufacture high-quality neem-based products with GNFC's technology. Now, we believe that relying only on neem oil is not a long-term sustainable option. In fact, in the future, there will be more attention on the impact of synthetic fertilizers on, of course, the soil. And we've seen it with Pranam, which is the first demonstration on putting more focus on organic and natural fertilizers. And so GNFC, just like they did with neem-coated urea, they should anticipate both markets and regulators trying to gain a competitive advantage. And we thought about the use of compost. We did a bit of a timeline. For example, from 0 to 6 months, they can start distributing electric composters in village clusters in order to create more awareness related to the use and production of compost. They could start some incentive plans to help farmers buying their livestock. They could also start some research and development on, of course, seeing if neem oil could help in coating compost. But also they have to start researching the adequate rotational program for each Indian region in which they want to enter. And of course, supply chain management. Of course, they will have to start the first constructing the first composting facilities. Then from 6 to 12 months, we will have the seeds purchasing subsidized to farmers who will start the rotational programs. There will be the start of waste collection in villages and cities, and also a mix of compost and low nitrogen fertilizers to help the ground get more accustomed. Then from 12 months onwards, they can take full advantage of the Pranam. There will be the start of the rotational programs. And of course, there will be a framework of open innovation to establish a network of trade of patents and knowledge. Now, we thought about investing in open windrow composting facility, given the fact that we based our calculation on the market share of GNFC, which is roughly 2.5%, and the total agricultural land area in India, thinking about the necessary nitrogen requirements for 1 hectare of rice fields, which is 150 kilos. And we thought about the use of 50% urea and 50% compost. We will need roughly 26 million metric tons of compost for every field covered by GNFC's market share. To do this, we thought about 10 facilities, open windrow composting facilities, for a total investment of 164 crores rupees, with a depreciation in 10 years, and the total annual cost, which is the 2.26% on the revenues. Now, this investment would have a very big social impact from our point of view of 800 crores rupees, assuming, of course, that collectors will be responsible for bringing 50% of the 26 million metric tons of compost, and a payment of 0.5 rupees for each kilos collected. Now, there is, of course, a lower payment for kilos compared to neem seeds gathering, but this has been done to make their collection, of course, financially sustainable. And we think that this will bring a long-term impact, of course, on people's livelihood and on the environment. So, thank you so much. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask.
That was fun. What I enjoy about being able to be involved in these sorts of programs is the diversity of perspectives each team takes, and you've added another wonderful one. Okay, so you're talking, in addition to taking the traditional approach, let's see what we can do around fertilizer and rice. Love it. Okay, it's not on my bio. My father was a senior scientist at the International Rice Research Institute, so I grew up in rice, literally. So you're speaking to someone who is, full disclosure, already biased and converted. So let's look at this from the point of view of a company who is, let me phrase it this way as a good question for you guys here. You've got a 12-month plus timeline suggesting they anticipate market trends. In the case study and the work you did, what's your sense of the executive management's ability to act proactively, to be willing to go and actually move into a serious anticipate move? Because this is a strong anticipate move.
Maybe I can answer this. According to the case study, also when they entered the fast-moving consumer goods, they were not really anticipating a market trend, but still they were operating in an area that was not really comfortable to them. And still they were able to do that simply by visiting other facilities that were already doing that, and trying to learn by seeing and then simply by doing. So personally, I believe that inside the company's culture, there is this capability of really stepping out of the comfort zone and try something new. So I believe that with a good idea of what they have to do in the next months, that they would still be able to jump in this, how can we say, really optimistic project, which of course will require many investments and many readaptations of their strategy. But if that's the answer that you were looking for, I believe they will be able to do that simply because of their culture and their innovative approach to business.
Okay, that's useful because it's one of the classical reasons why strategies fail, and having been involved in my earlier part of my career before the ESG Institute with some of the big consulting firms, is we can come up with something that's intellectually really powerful. And we can forecast into, like, as you have here, present time, there is very interesting opportunity because of where the market could go and compared to the data. The case study at present time says, yes, this sort of thing actually would have a serious play. One of the classical reasons why strategy doesn't work is it doesn't fit culture. Hence my question. So I'm delighted that you picked up an element that would say there would be cultural hope that this kind of proposition would work, not just market opportunity. Thank you.
Right. So my question for the team, first of all, very creative idea. My question to you is that you are suggesting that they gradually shift from their synthetic fertilizer to natural resources, natural sources, right? That's what you're talking about. And as you have pointed out, there are already some initiatives happening, etc. My question to you is, what has it got to do with the NEEM initiative? What is the relevance of NEEM in the whole process? That they anyway probably should do.
The main rationale behind our decision is that this switch towards the use of from synthetic fertilizers to organic fertilizers will hinder the impact of the NEEM initiative, because this initiative was born as the use of excess neem oil to coat urea. So they also made it financially viable, thanks to the fact that they are using the neem oil and the neem seeds that the people were gathering. But if the switch will be towards organic and natural fertilizers, we have to provide also a new solution to GNFC to keep helping the rural communities in the best way possible. Of course, this doesn't mean that neem oil, the neem seeds won't ever be gathered anymore, but we believe it is in the best interest for both the GNFCs and both rural communities to start this transition in order also to improve the corporate social responsibilities of the company, understanding that the utilization of high nitrogen, high nutrients, more in general, synthetic fertilizers, in the long term is more damaging than doing a correct rotational program with natural and organic fertilizers, from our point of view. This was the main rationale behind our idea of adding up to the NEEM project another side, another idea that could help the communities.
No, I totally appreciate that.
Something?
Asa, just give me a point.
Yes, if you don't mind. So also the NEEM project that they are currently having could help in the creation of compost. For example, neem cake that they are already producing, or all the other remains of the seeds that are not being used can be used to create compost. We were also thinking about maybe coating the compost with neem seeds. We have no idea from a scientific point of view if that would be doable and would actually have an impact on the dispersion of nitrogen that the compost has. But we were thinking that this is definitely something that the company can look into, both to use their excess capacity and to keep the NEEM project alive, of course.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it to you. I am also not very clear about the science behind it, that will you continue to need neem oil and make your natural fertilizer even more effective if you mix it with neem oil. Okay, thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Team EA, for the presentation and judges. Now I'd like to next call upon Team Men in Blue.
Hello, greetings to all. We are Team Men in Blue. So we started this case study by highlighting some of the key facts, and in the interest of time, we won't go into it further. Next slide. So while analyzing the facts, we understood that there are three main key objectives which need to be addressed. First one being the impact on social and business dimensions through their current strategy. Then recommending some appropriate metrics to measure this social impact, as they have to sustain this in the long term. And the main one being identifying the key challenges of this project and also proposing an alternative strategy to overcome them. The methodology we employed was conducting secondary research at various levels. Some of them would be annual reports of GNFCs, then conducting some SDG report research, and also conducting in-depth interview of Vedanta Limited. The key findings will be covered in the subsequent slides in detail. Next slide. So while evaluating their current strategy of becoming an FMCG brand, we realized that their strength lies in the quality, but they were not so well versed in the B2C retail FMCG business, nor did they have any experience in brand building. So why did they choose this? So the opportunity of this growing FMCG market was too big to miss for them. However, they needed to be wary of the incumbent threat which were going to react to their entry. Next slide. Coming to the business impact of this project, so the biggest one would be the supply chain strengthening they achieved. They started from backward integration, where they had seed collectors and VLCC through villagers, and also they started their own neem plant subsequently. This led to an unadulterated supply of neem seeds. The cost reduction they achieved was around 5 to 6 rupees per kg of neem oil. This actually was due to the fact that a subsequent amount of revenue was generated through neem cake, which is a byproduct, which they were getting when they were producing it in-house versus catering it through market. The next step they did was forward integration, which actually increased their brand visibility to 20,000 due to 20,000 plus retail outlets. And also because of their backward integration and goodwill earned through their processes, they actually increased their cross-selling opportunities of urea fertilizers. Coming to financial stability, this is a big company and they had some 5,000 to 6,000 crore revenue, and hence the neem project was really small in compared to the overall business at the initial stages. Hence, we tried to look at the other segment, which consists of all the IT services and CSR projects. There also neem project was contributing 5 to 10% of the revenues. And we noticed that it is not going to hamper their profitability much, as they are going to achieve break even in 3 to 4 years. Next slide.
Now that we have looked at the business impact, now moving on, and we will look at the societal upliftment that happened through the neem project. Here we will look at the actions that GNFC took, what effect it had on the society, as well as the long-term impact that it created for the business. Their actions like providing better rates and fair weighing processes increased the annual income of the laborers by 58%, and it also empowered women by increasing their income as well as reducing the cases of domestic violence. What impact it created for their own business was building a trust. The trust that they built with the villagers were to an extent that they were ready to sell only to GNFC and not to any private players. This was from the social impact view. Moving to the environmental impact it had was, due to the neem oil coating of the urea, it reduced the overall urea consumption by 10% and increased the yield of the crops. This led to a greater market share for their fertilizer product. Next. Yeah, so as we learned about all this societal impact, we created an assessment matrix for the same. For this, we took ESG initiatives of 6 different companies like Vedanta, Rio Tinto, as well as Tata Chemicals, and we tailored down this metrics to see what we can use. So we used a top-down approach for this, where we will look at the regional level and major parameters like net state domestic product at a district level, and some reduction in migration. And for all this, to measure all these parameters, we have also given some calculation measures that we can use. Next, we will move on to the household level, where we can measure annual household income, children's education. Going to the individual level, we can measure the training hours they provided, the number of women they employed. So all these metrics can be used to evaluate their social impact.
Okay, so now let's look at the challenges faced by the neem project. So the first major bucket that we want to cover is mission drift, which refers to the situation where company moves away from its core goal of making a positive social impact. In our case, it can happen because one of the major thing that could happen is leadership. Why this can happen? Because the reporting mechanisms in rural areas are not that robust, and that could make it uncertain for leadership to know what's going on. So what we recommend to for this is to leverage the technology that they currently have, and make the reporting mechanism more robust so that the leadership have that confidence. The second is from the scaling perspective. The case indicates that the management is looking to scale this up. And one of the first barrier that would come is the regional barriers. The practices, the tricks that are used in Gujarat may not work in other areas just because, the cultures are surely different. So what we recommend, over here is that use the regional resources really well. The NGOs, the people itself really well. One example would be what Farm Veda is currently doing. Third is from the supply chain perspective. Three major challenges. The bargaining power of wholesalers is really high. They are having high margins. The logistics in tier 3 cities and the rural areas are strained. And the drying and storage facilities that they currently have does not go par with the brand that they're trying to maintain. So for this, we recommend outsourcing the marketing abilities and create a pull towards the brand, tailoring the distribution channel based on whether it's a tier 1 city or a tier 3 city or a rural area, and leverage the existing infrastructure of the current urea business. In the interest of time, we'll move forward. So can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So so now having known all this, can we really now form and say what else they could have done? Or rather, if they want to scale it up further, can they use a different strategy and mitigate the challenges that we talked about in the last slide? So we identified 4 other strategies apart from the current strategies, and we evaluated it based on 3 major criteria. Our first criteria was social impact. The training and employment of underprivileged women in their manufacturing units was something that we wanted to sustain in any of the alternative strategy that we come up with. So that was our first criteria. The second was business potential. It will cover the scaling opportunities, the competition in the market size itself, and that all is a bucket of business potential. The third is feasibility, and that covers so we have to take into the account that GNFC at the end of the day is PSU, and other feasibilities such as the capex required. So based on all this 3 criteria, we identify that being a contract manufacturer for major FMCG players is something to go into. So we'll delve deep into it and compare this strategy with respect to current strategy. And over here, I would like to emphasize on one particular thing, which is, the new capabilities required. We have 5 different evaluation criteria, but let's talk about the new capabilities required. So our whole argument is that NEEM project and GNFC has done the supply side right. They've played that game really well. They've got a good supply. They're currently doing manufacturing, and manufacturing FMCG products might not be a big deal. They can do it. And the capex required is also not that high. What they don't know is that sales, marketing, and branding. So why to do it ourselves? Let the FMCG product, let the FMCG companies who are masters at doing it do it, and have a very optimal supply chain. So aligning all the synergies, we say that we should go ahead and be a contract manufacturer for FMCG products. And one of the good example is Hindustan Food Limited, how they are supplying the products to various FMCG products, various FMCG brands. So we can be a contract manufacturer for NEEM-based products, and that's our recommendation. Thank you so much.
Hey,
we are open for questions.
Yeah. Love it. We've now got contract manufacturing on the cards. Beautiful. Okay, so men in blue. Are there any women in your team, or are you truly an all-male team?
Currently, we're all men.
Yeah. What kind of diversity are you showing? I hope you're diversified across different parts of India, at least.
We are. All of us from different states. Yeah.
Good. Diversity comes in many shapes and forms. I did appreciate your comment about what works in Gujarat might not work elsewhere in the country too. Yeah. So I think I like the way you laid out the analytical process that you'd been through. That was useful. So let me take you and the sequence before and then in this. So let me take the question into projecting for 3 to 5 years. Okay, and if you're really gutsy, go for the 5 to 7. So this is complete future casting. Given what you know of the world now, what do you reckon is going to be the soundest choice? Economically, because the business needs to stay productive, and then secondly, to make the most of their excess neem oil, and thirdly, they have a strong investment in social impact. And how do they go and make the most of these 3 elements? Future casting out a world that's a good 5 years out. Go 2030.
Right.
That's 7 years.
Right. One of the the personal care segment is going to grow, that we know for sure. The manufacturing in Gujarat itself is not that costly, so they can have more and more manufacturing plants in Gujarat. And the FMCG companies are already there, like Patanjali, HUL, which are going to launch into the organic products. So I still think that contract manufacturing would be a good bet, because they can have. So you have to remember one fact, that the supply of neem seeds from Gujarat itself is much more than what they require. Like, so the case mentions that they can cover the entire India's neem oil requirement from that neem seed. So they have supply side correct. They can set up more manufacturing plants because the capex is not high in Bharuch. That's where their plant is. And so, and hence they can go ahead and be a contract manufacturer for major brands. Even Hindustan Food Limited has their manufacturing units in Gujarat and Maharashtra. So I think that's quite possible. So yeah, I think in the long time horizon as well, I think contract manufacturing is something that needs to go in. One of the challenges that though we realized was that we will really need to sharpen their manufacturing skills. You need to have a good brand. You need to have a trust of your buyers. So that's something that they need to work on. But I think overall they can go ahead with the strategy. I would love to hear your comments, if you think otherwise.
No. Our role is not to come in and second guess.
Sure. Okay.
But because you have done the analysis, my question was, that's why I was going, like, if you're projecting forward, because the case takes it from 2017, right?
Right.
Okay. We're now in 2023, which is past the time horizon. So I'm going, okay, that's great. You've done good work and analysis. You put up a good thing. So I'm going, okay, I'm asking you to future cast. We're now in 2023. What, would you, given what we know now and the world that we've got going ahead of us? So this is not something you would have studied. I'm asking you to use the analytical nuance you picked up to go, like some of the, what does it mean here and now? 2023 world, going on to 2030, for example, the next 7 years, having looked at the last 7 years, would there be anything different that you would suggest? Anyhow, don't worry, if you don't have something that comes straight, I will pass on the Q&A section onto Surab's wonderful questions.
I think apart from what I have said, I don't think anyone in mind. I can, if one of my teammate has anything in mind, please go.
No.
Okay, so good analysis. I mean, I do have personally a little bit different in point of view, but that's fine. I mean, I like the fact that you are focused and you have come and said that choose to be a contract manufacturer rather than the way you are. So that's great. My thing is, what is the team's sense about the social impact that they're creating at present? Did you look at those numbers and did you get some sense there that is it good? Is it not so good? It's fantastic. What's your sense?
So we looked at the societal impact that they have created, and here are the numbers that are shown. And we also compared it with the current ESG initiatives of companies that are in the similar sector. So they are at par, or I would say more than.
Rohit, I'll just give you an example. 58% is great to show.
Yeah.
But what is the absolute increase in income levels?
Absolute increase was around 700 INR in their annual income. So which 7, was all, 7,000.
So 7,000 rupees per year annual income, and you're talking about women empowerment. I mean, whom are you kidding?
Sir, these figures were like back in 2014. So according to that year, I think that much increase
So
in that section.
even if you say from between 2014 and now, income has doubled, which actually hasn't, right? I mean, in fact, rural income, there is a rural distress in our country. Even if you assume that, you are saying 1,000 rupees income enhancement per month. I mean, what empowerment are we talking about?
Sir, can I,
Yeah,
it
go ahead.
is about the absolute income here. Actually, it is about the freedom which they have got. So from this income, they actually bought a lot of.
So that's the question, Rajat, that 1,000 rupees you think will give freedom to a rural woman?
Not 1,000, but
and she can go and buy sewing machine and become, decision maker in the family. I mean, is GNFC just creating too much of hype around something which is very small?
No, because first of all, sir, it was around 7,000, and that at that point of time per year, actually they can actually start their own business. And one more thing is they can also become the VLCC, SCC, the stalker of the group. It's not like they are only going to be the seat collector, which is at the ground level. So they are actually impacting it in the various levels, not only at the minimum level which we are currently looking at. So
but where is the bulk of the number?
Yeah, bulk of the number is present at the bottom level, but still
anyway, think about it. I mean, we don't want to get into an argument for benefit of time, but just think about that.
Can I just make one comment? So one of the things that I would want to make is this, income was during the off season when the agricultural activities are not at the peak in Gujarat. So that is something of a good impact because they have the 2 or 3 months ka income secured. So that's where I think the impact is substantial if you're getting that much money in 2 or 3 months. But I agree with your point that it might not be very substantial, in absolute terms. But yeah, just a comment.
All right, thank you. Good job.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Team Men in Blue, for your presentation and their judges for your questions. So next, I would like to invite Team P3 and J. Team P3 and J?
Yeah, we are here.
Okay, we are ready. Lloyd, do you want to start?
Yes. Okay, good morning, everyone. We are team from Rotterdam School of Management, Erasmus University. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present today. It is truly an honor to be here. Before delving into the analysis and recommendations, I would like to provide a brief overview of the key events in the past. In 2012, the Indian government, okay, maybe we have some issue.
We have lost your slides. Okay, now here's the test of genius. Can you continue without them? Okay. So I invite one of you to continue without the slide until the slide gets recovered.
Okay, in 2012, the Indian government implemented a mandate that required the use of urea products coated with 35% neem oil in order to minimize nitrogen release. This decision was based on the finding that neem oil coating resulted in improved crop yields and increased profitability for farmers. However, the government later escalated the requirement to 100%. And this regulatory change had a notable impact on GNFC, and they had to make 4 crucial business decisions to address the situation effectively. Firstly, like after the implementation of the policy, GNFC produced neem-coated urea and introduced it into the market. And then they recognized that purchasing urea was too expensive. So they invested in production facility and initiated in-house neem oil operations. After that, They expanded their product line by venturing into soap production to make use of the excess neem oil. And lastly, they broadened their range of the product and enter into the additional distribution channels within the FMCG market. Next, we will provide detailed information on how these factors have made impacts on the social, business, and environmental aspects.
Thanks, Ploy. And sorry for the disruption in the slides. GNFC is creating shared value through its neem vertical from a social, environmental, and business perspective. When it decided to produce neem oil, it gained immediate control over its supply chain. When it decided to produce soaps from excess neem oil, it improved the process efficiency. The positive impact generated from its social and environmental activities led to a positive brand perception for the company. From a social impact perspective, production of 100% urea-coated neem led to better yields and increased profitability for the farmers. The increase in income of seed collectors led to improved financial and social inclusivity for women and a reduced income gap. From an environmental perspective, it led to improved soil health, better adoption of circular economy principle due to reduced waste streams, and a reduced pesticide and chemical fertilizer used, which increased public health outcomes in general. When GNFC piloted the neem initiative in Andhra Pradesh, it demonstrated the potential to create a business model that creates shared value for its business and the community where it operates. The challenge now lies with how GNFC scales this business model beyond a private project in a manner that continues to advance social, environmental, economic, and business objectives. To address this challenge, we propose solutions to the following sub-questions. Number one, how can GNFC scale its FMCG business while maximizing the impact? Number two, how can GNFC build long-term impact into its business model? And number three, how can they measure and evaluate the outcomes that they are doing, right? Let me address the first challenge, and we are going to address all of these challenges and present solutions in the consecutive slides. GNFC has ventured into the FMCG market through a B2C retail and e-commerce strategy. We suggest that GNFC uses wholesale business models and white labeled products to reach corporate and general customers in urban areas. Corporate customers are at the top of the funnel and value ease of use. Subscription model is one way to reach them. General customers value high quality products at equitable prices. Government-owned medical stores called Jan Aushadhi stores and exploring partnerships with companies like Hindustan Unilever is another way. GNFC can leverage profits from wholesale model to subsidize sales of personal hygiene products to underserved base of the pyramid populations. This can drive public health benefits. GNFC can also leverage government-led supply and distribution network to improve its access in the rural areas at the base of the pyramid. I will now let Jose talk about challenge number 2 about the long-term sustainability.
Thanks, Priyamba. Hello, everyone. With respect to the second challenge, how can GNFC ensure long-term social and environmental impact? We have identified 4 initiatives that could be undertaken by GNFC. Starting with the social initiative, we have come up with 2 proposals. First, GNFC can broaden their farmer training programs into areas such as financial planning, entrepreneurship, and sustainable farming practices. Regarding financial planning, GNFC could partner with microfinance institutions to increase banking penetration in rural areas. This would allow women to have a better oversight and control over their financial resources. With respect to entrepreneurial activities, given the short period of time in where neem seeds are collected, teaching women about entrepreneurship can help them diversify and increase their sources of income by engaging in other activities. And lastly, by promoting sustainable farming practices, GNFC could focus on practices that improve soil health, therefore increasing crop yields and positively impact farmers' income. The second proposal is about expanding collection and production capacity. And for this can be done in two ways. GNFC could work with governments to help replicate their business model by other fertilizer suppliers in other states of India, replicating the successful NGO model. Also, GNFC could expand their own collection and production capacity into other states of India, directly reaching more women in the country. Now moving into the environmental impact, and Priyamba, you can help me moving to the next slide. We have identified two proposals. First, GNFC could work on reducing its scope 1 and 2 carbon emissions. This could be done through adopting energy conservation and efficiency measures in their production facilities, as well as procuring renewable energy. And secondly, GNFC can support sustainability in neem seed collection and rural farming by co-developing sustainability standards with seeds collectors, farmers, and NGOs. By developing sustainability standards, GNFC would be contributing to improve environmental conservation on the areas in where the seeds are collected. With this, I'll let Peter wrap up.
Good morning, everyone. So the third and final challenge we will be addressing today is how can GNFC measure and evaluate social and environmental impact? So currently, GNFC measures impacts connected to the NEEM project's core objectives. These include social upliftment, inclusivity, and sustainability. The KPIs linked to these objectives include rural job creation, increasing incremental income, improved fertilizer efficiency, among others. These are valuable objectives and KPIs, yet we believe they don't tell the full story because they do not explicitly measure unintended positive or negative externalities. To address this gap, we are proposing that GNFC adopt measurement methodologies modeled after ESG or impact investment standards, such as the IRIS+ standards. These can be applied to GNFC's operations and supply chain. There, they can be used to address current gaps, such as the environmental impact of intensive neem seed harvesting, the carbon footprint of GNFC's manufacturing operations, and the public health benefits associated with targeting personal hygiene products to underserved rural communities. By comprehensively measuring all the ways that GNFC impacts society, and society in turn impacts GNFC, the company will be able to make better business decisions that maximize long-term positive impacts while minimizing negative ones. And to collect the data, we recommend GNFC rely on 3 strategies. First, lean data collection methods at the point of sale or purchase. Second, nurturing alliances with community partners, such as NARDIS or the UNDP. These types of alliances will position the company to better understand local needs, tailor service offerings to local needs, and measure the effectiveness of programming interventions and business service offerings. And third and finally, leveraging the company's IT strengths to build digital self-reporting tools with appropriate incentives to automate impact measurement. And that's the balance of this section. Yeah, so that's our presentation, and we welcome your kind of feedback and questions.
Wonderful. I like the fact that you tied it back into the Sustainable Development Goals and the contribution there. My future casting is that over the next few years, that tight linkage is going to be something that will be looked at more and more in business. So it's nice that you've made that step here and now, and that you're thinking in how the contribution works, not just at the ground floor for the organization, but the shift in the bigger picture. So if we take that as a starting point, two questions for you. One is, how do you see what you propose as contributing into the direct economics of the business? So one is taking that slightly, if you could drill down a bit more into the economics and where you see the business going forward from that side. And the second one is, given that you have actually linked into the SDGs, where do you see there's possibility for them to leverage the fact that they may actually have insight of greater contribution on an SDG basis? That could also be a way of creating value. So just pick one of those two, because I'm mindful that we're managing time. I'll leave it to you to pick which one. Do you want of those two questions you'd like to answer? One is economic and the one is greater opportunities leveraging SDGs.
Does anybody on our team want to speak to any one of those questions?
I don't have a preference.
Go for it, Peter.
Okay, thank you very much for the question, Joanne. I think that the SDGs provide a very kind of intuitive, emotionally accessible way for whether it's an individual, an organization, or a company to kind of understand and conceptualize their impact, and also to connect it to the broader kind of development society. So I see SDGs as a almost an excellent supplement to just internal impact measurement processes and ways for a company to connect their impact to the kind of broader development trends in their area. So I would, we recommend that the company sort of adopt comprehensive impact measurement standards covering all facets of its operations. And by doing that, just make better business decisions by identifying negative externalities and kind of really leveraging and building on positive ones. So that's our starting point. But by linking that work to the SDGs, I think the company can achieve a few things. It can really drive engagement. It can internally with employees. It can use them to communicate what they're doing in a very intuitive and accessible way to the communities where they're operating and addressing some of those communication barriers that were identified in the case. And I think from a political perspective as well, it's a really easy way for the company to ground what it's doing into broader development priorities or objectives that regulators, multilateral development banks, and other stakeholders like that are interested in. So that's how I think the company could blend SDGs, internal impact assessment processes, and its broader corporate strategy to kind of propel things forward.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, my question is, from the part which Priyambada presented, but it's for the whole team. What is your sense, team, about the financial viability of the current model? I mean, do you think they are making profits, they are making losses? What is the sense of that?
Right. I can take that question and then others can add. From a financial viability perspective, sir, I would think of the purpose of the organization. Okay, the benefit that the enterprise is trying to create is not just for the owners, but also for society and environment. So when we look at financial viability, relying on the business to make profits and sort of use it as a source of funding, I think is not the only way to look at it. While they are creating revenues, I feel they should go for a hybrid approach where they're also leveraging the government sources of funding and other philanthropic sources of funding to make this whole system financially viable.
Sorry, continue, Priyamba. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can add, Jose.
If I can add to that, I think it's very challenging to make this business financially viable. They are controlling the complete supply chain. That requires lots of know-how within the company, lots of resources to get all the processes done. And for example, going into the FMCG space can deviate their attention on the fertilizer and chemicals. So overall, I think it's challenging financially to control all these stages of the value chain. And on top of this, being aware of creating this impact. No, it is very costly also to measure impact, to create impact in the bottom of the supply chain. So probably I would guess that operational efficiency is critical for GNFC in order to become profitable. If they cannot achieve operational efficiency, it might be very challenging for them to be financially viable on the long run.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to get a sense of that. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Team P3 and J, for your presentation. Thank you, judges.
Thank you, Shubham, and thank you, judges, for the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Now can Team 4 Idiots please come? The presentation.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, every judge and team. We feel quite honored to have the chance to learn a great deal from our mentor or the judges and other team. To begin with, I would like to provide a brief introduction to our team. We are a team from Fudan University in China. My name is Jie Chen, and there is Shu Jia, Yu Yao, and Tianming in our team. Our team name Four Idiots comes from a famous Indian movie, Three Idiots, acted by Amir Han. We cherish this opportunity to showcase our presentation to all judges and other teams. Firstly, let's take a look at the background of the NEEM project. As a co-project of GNFC, the NEEM project has attracted a lot of attention for its innovative solutions and positive social impacts. GNFC was one of the largest chemicals and fertilizer companies in India with the primary objective to manufacture urea and nutrition fertilizer. In 2014, the government in India mandated that 100% of urea produced in the country should be coated with neem oil. The project supports the villagers by generating employment opportunity, but it also checked some issues to GNFC. Let's take a look in the paragraph in the middle of this page. We can see that both the sales and market share was on a downstream curve since 2008 and showed no significant improvements after the 100% neem oil quota policy in 2014. The total market of urea sales in India was also began to decrease after the 100% neem oil quota policy. Recently, GNFC has forged into FMCG market to manufacture the natural non-toxic products such as soap and repellents with the excessive production of neem oil. As what I have mentioned above, the objective of our study is to firstly work out a sustainable business model to maintain the social mission and maximize the business value for GNFC, and secondly, create a measurement mechanism to evaluate the impact and achievements. Sorry, I was interrupted. Okay. It's also worth mentioning that we use a logical framework of problem statement, compare advantages and disadvantages, give suggestive options, and finally recommendation to analyze the case. We also include several strategies and analyze methodologies, including tests and others. Now let my teammates bring more details about the case to you.
Okay, thanks, Jay Chen. Good morning, sir. I'm Scott. Now I'm going to show you the framework of this case. Next, yes. As shown in the figure of the framework diagram, while number 1 to number 5 are the case questions. Okay, as shown in the figure of the framework diagram, well, number 1 to number 5 are the case questions, and we connect and analyze each question systematically through the form of a flow chart. At the heart of the NEEM project is the use of an Indian plant, the neem tree. This tree is widely cultivated in India and has many important properties. First, the seeds of the neem tree contain naturally beneficial compounds that can be extracted and used to produce fertilizers, pesticides, and other agricultural products. By purchasing seeds and processing these products, GNFC effectively reduced the expenses on neem oil purchasing for urea coating and used excess neem oil to produce FMCG products to earn additional income, while protecting the ecological environment, creating employment opportunities and income source for farmers, and improving their life quality. The above is the business and social impact of the neem project, which answers the first question of the case. Regarding the second question, we use internal and external analysis methods, including past model, and present the world face serious environmental and agricultural problems, including soil degradation, water depletion, and excessive use of harmful chemicals. GNFC recognized these challenges and decided to take action. They research and develop the neem project, which aims to provide sustainable solutions to promote sustainable agriculture and environmental protection, which other companies can learn from sustainable programs like that. Next, my team member Yao Yu will continue to analyze following questions.
Thank you, Scott. Theoretically, foreign to FMCG industry seems like a sustainable business model to consume excess neem oil for GNFC. Well, in fact, there are still some problems pending to be solved. Let's analyze these problems in two dimensions: business and social impact. On one hand, as business dilemma, it's not a profit maximizing strategy. As first, GNFC's FMCG only accounts for 0.06% of Indian market, as so little to dominate the market. Second, it costs more management, selling, R&D expenses for GNFC to improve their market share. Third, GNFC targets their product at no-end market with very low profit margin. On the other hand, you can see the positive social impact is being vacant with interest of more connectors and VLCCs. The unit income is on a downward trend. You can see from the graph. Then, how to solve these problems? Let's welcome Tianmin to disclose our suggestions.
Okay, thanks, Yao. Well, it's really a big step for GNFC to step into the FMCG market and consume the excessive amount of neem oil. But how to survive? Is it a good choice for them? As we can see, GNFC has matured the manufacture process of neem oil and rich experience in the business-to-business marketing of the fertilizer and chemical applications. And the good reputation and branding image in the market is a plus. Also, there's plenty capacity and potential to collect enough seeds as they have good relationship with the local community and have built up the smooth workflow of seed collection. Except for these advantages, there are some obvious disadvantages as well, such as lack of business-to-consumer marketing capability, difficulty in the sales network management, and the demanding investment on the R&D and the production. Besides, it may also become a heavy burden for GNFC to continuously run the neem project. Meanwhile, the competition in FMCG market is quite fierce in India. It's not easy to stand out, especially as a new joiner. But it might be an opportunity as there is a rising wave of interest in nature products in the local industry. Taking all these into account, GNFC can consider several options to solve the dilemma. For example, GNFC can produce and sell neem oil as ingredients or to explore the synergistic application with their existing product categories. to create the scale effect of neem oil production and reduce the marketing and sales pressure in the end market. But it will lose the high margin of the end products and weaken the market control power. The other thoughts are to enlarge the sales of coating urea by lobbying the government for special allowance to make up the additional cost of farmers, exploring the export of the coated urea or offering special discounts to encourage the neem seed collectors to use the GNFC fertilizers. They might be difficult to implement as the procedure can be complicated and the direct benefits are hard to measure, which should be treated seriously and prudentially. What we recommend most is to cooperate with other FMCG sector companies on the oil and relevant product R&D, which can use more seeds, maximize the financial benefits, and gain the branding awareness from co-branding approach with less efforts. However, massive coordination problems and the interest conflicts can be foreseen in the cooperation. Therefore, to ensure the effectiveness, GNFC should create a complete set of agreements, procedures, and controls to well organize and train the villagers to collect enough quality seeds and share the expertise of the leading FMCG players to launch the popular products to attract the mass market.
10 minutes. Please wrap up in 20 seconds.
Okay, the personal and organizational KPIs and the financial performance numbers and ratios along with the population covered and income increase can be tracked to evaluate. As such, we believe GNFC can help more rural people and find a new gear of business growth. Thanks for your listening, and we are ready to answer your questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It's interesting seeing it laid out in this way. It gives a different story to the PowerPoint structure. You focused on the social possibilities. Did you do any, what kind of analytics did you do on the economics that are associated? So like you've got 4 possibilities here with one that you're highlighting as that your recommendation, the cooperation option. What's the comparative benefit? You know, I mean, I'm going like now taking it into from a point of view of what's the impact benefit of that one compared to, you know, like actually some kind of modeling behind the statements. Do you have that available? Of the impact benefit of the financial implications, because each one of these would have different investment and payout times to create both economics and social impact. Can you share how you thought that through?
Okay, thank you for your question. Yes, we due to the restriction, we may not display enough information on the pages, but we do calculate the economic benefits from this cooperation. As we can see, the market of the FMCG products in India is about $3 billion. So if we can share a more share in the market, then it will create big economic benefits. As just assume that we can gain 5% of the market share, then it may create over 110 million rupees income for the local communities. And also, we have found that just comparing with the purchase of the neem oil from the market instead of producing by GNFC themselves, it's about 50% room of the profit in this. So if we can cooperate with the leading player in the market, then the benefits can be unlimited. That's our view. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It's good to see the thinking through there, which is what I was looking for, the connection.
Yeah, so team, sorry,
Yes, you can continue,
Joanna,
please.
you are done?
Yes, I was trying to call you.
Yes, over to you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, team, so you have, the current operations of this neem oil is not financially viable. I'm hearing myself. Anyway, we can live with that. So how do you propose to make this financially viable?
Sorry, the voice not clear here. So, I mean, the double sound.
Yeah, I think there is some echo happening on your side. Can you just put all your mics on the silent mode, and then you can answer. Let's try it out again. I'm asking that in the present situation, the business is not viable. The neem business for GNFC is not financially viable. It's making losses. How do you plan to make it financially viable?
So whichever team member is taking up the answer, please unmute yourself and answer.
Oh, sorry, is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. I think as we just explained that there's big room of profit or income in this neem oil business as compared with purchased neem oil on the market with GNFC produce this oil by themselves. The margin is quite large. So with the cooperation of FMCG product, and they can create a business model to share these profits, and also with the branding of GNFC brought by the corporate social responsibility, and they may enjoy more benefits from it, and just to improve their fertilizer and chemical products sales as well. Hope it addresses your question. Thank you.
Can I add? Okay, can I add something? As well, that now the GNFC's product is targeted at no end area. I think they can, they can adjust their position into high-end product. I saw that in some airports, there are also some FMCG products they sell in high price. I think to increase the price, I also at the same time as just my teammates said, to scale up, we can reduce the cost. In this way, to increase the price and reduce the cost, we can get margin for GNFC product.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, team, for elites and the jury for your questions. Now, can team RXG please come and present?
Good morning, judges. Can I present my screen now?
So Mukherjee, Joanne.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah, please start. Yeah, screen is visible.
Yep. Thank you.
So good morning, everybody. We are Team R Cross J. And through our presentation today, we will be evaluating GNFC's NEEM project initiative and the social upliftment that it has created. Since the context had already been set, we would be straight away diving into analyzing the case. We have broken down the NEEM project across its value chain and bucketed it under 4 categories. The business impact here is clearly driven by the fact that there is a complete vertical integration in this project, from seed collecting to manufacturing. These bring the tighter control over the supply chain, while also ensuring that the company enjoys cost benefits and can tap into extended market by diversifying in the future. Now, apart from the business impact the neem project brings, there's undeniably a profound social impact of the project, generating employment opportunities for the rural masses, especially women, increasing their overall income, improving their health, and also bringing tertiary benefits like reducing domestic violence. So moving on, we have listed the key challenges at each step present here. While the specific issues in supply chain, logistics, staffing, production, I would like to bring your notice to the key challenge, which is the lack of expertise in the retail segment. There's a lack of synergy between the current competencies and those needed in the FMCG retail segment. High competition from existing players, lack of branding and marketing activities is a serious resistance to the sustainability and the growth of this project. Hence, while the company needs to ensure a slow and organic growth for the project, restructure its organization, and also upskill its workforce, the most important thing they need to do is build marketing and branding capabilities to find success in this sector. Finding the right customer segment to target, figuring out pricing would help them ensure their complete profit potential and also find the product market fit. Now, having done this analysis, Shreya will take it forward for evaluating the complete FMCG business.
So after understanding the impact and challenges, we analyzed the pros and cons of GNFC entering the FMCG business. We realized that there were some advantages, like an opportunity to enter a huge market at a low cost, leveraging its synergies and creating a high social impact. But to see if all of this was enough, we then questioned what it is that actually makes an FMCG business successful. The answer was straightforward. GNFC's competitors like Unilever, Patanjali, and Himalaya all had a robust distribution network, high spend on marketing, and a wide product portfolio. This is where GNFC lagged far behind while it was trying to enter a heavily competitive industry where the top 3 firms together already hold 56% of the market share. On top of it, GNFC's employees had a lack of expertise in FMCG. So considering all this, we came to the conclusion that GNFC's foray in FMCG was a bit hasty. Now, of course, there were a few things they could have done to improve their standing, but what we are proposing here is that instead of jumping into FMCG, there were some other opportunities that GNFC could have explored where it would have created a higher social and business impact with a lower investment. Abhas will now walk us through these alternative strategies.
Thank you, Shreya. So now that we know that FMCG has its own set of advantages and disadvantages, one key question comes to mind. Was FMCG the right market to enter for GNFC? To answer this, let's go back in time and imagine that we are in 2015, where we have started neem oil production and we have excess neem oil. To actually weigh this, we looked at the benefits of neem as well as the possible alternatives. Upon research, we found that neem is antimicrobial in nature, has anti-inflammatory properties, and has loads of antioxidants. Next, we prepared an analysis of all possible avenues that could have been looked at both in B2B and B2C space. We rated the opportunities on 4 major parameters, that is, the potential neem market size, the existing competencies of GNFCs, the current network, and the limited competition. The lower the competition, the higher the chances of success are in a particular sector. After this analysis, we found that textile, leather, and Ayurveda were the most attractive B2B markets to enter as suppliers, whereas poultry feed provided an interesting opportunity as a manufacturer and distributor due to the network potential that GNFC had. So now let's try to go deep into each of these industries. Towards the left, what you see is all the industries, and towards the right, you see the approximate market size of only the neem products in that market in billion INRs. And when we talk about Ayurveda industry provides the largest potential neem product market size. Patanjali rejuvenated the charm of Ayurveda and new firms have started cropping up. Supplying neem oil and extracts can lead to reduction of prices of expensive health treatments and provide better and low-cost prevention options. Leather industry, on the other hand, utilizes neem in the most innovative way. In pre-tanning of leather, the raw skins and hides need to be preserved for a long period of time. The de-oiled neem cakes, which are essentially waste for us, are utilized in limited proportions as preservatives with the salts. This has huge impact in terms of reducing the chemical and salts runoff and prevent soil and water pollution. The textile industry can also utilize neem oil in a unique way. It gives three major advantages to use neem oil in the pre-dyeing and dyeing phase. The major advantages are that it leads to improved color strength of the material, improved strength via curbing microbial growth, and odor-free clothes. This positively impacts the environment by reducing leaching of harmful chemicals like PHMB and ammonium compounds that can cause soil and groundwater pollution. Lastly, neem as poultry food supplement. Neem cakes form a proteinaceous source that increase the growth of poultry and leads to better egg yields when used in appropriate proportions. Due to the existing network with the SHGs and farmers, this can be a good venture to enter. This can enhance the income of poultry farmers and also provide an opportunity to cultivate neem. Looking at all this, we now further analyze the foray of B2B supplier for GNFC. We see that there are multiple advantages, including decreased cost of R&D, reduced marketing cost, and economies of scale in oil extraction. While there are few disadvantages, including increased risk of dependence on fewer contracts and longer sales cycle. But all in all, being a B2B supplier, we can leverage the existing competencies, and it is potentially one of the most unique space that GNFC could have entered. Now I would like to call upon Mitali.
Now let's look at the other side of the story. We all know tracking metrics is a very crucial for any CSR project. But along with tracking, it is equally important for such projects to clearly communicate the impact generated to all the stakeholders to show the organization's commitment towards making a difference. Let's first talk about the impact measurement. We believe that GNFC should launch a district-wise impact evaluation plan wherein GNFC adopts one district and do a stakeholder-wise study to calculate the impact generated on each stakeholder. For example, starting with seed collectors, we need to look at the additional people employed, income generated, and value in asset creation, and the change in year-on-year growth in these numbers. For farmers, we can track the number of farmers trained, cost savings generated for such farmers due to reduced use of chemical supplements, and improved soil health. Lastly, for community, we need to look at the new partnership forms with SHGs and NGOs and conduct satisfaction surveys to know the real-life difficulties associated with the project. All this will help us in creating a feedback loop and help us improve our performance. To move into the next part of clear communication, we suggest 3 initiatives. The first one is getting external certification from independent agencies for more reliability, calculating and reporting social return on investments to find the social sustainability of such projects. And lastly, using social media to tell people that the money they are spending is going for a good cause. Now, to implement these suggestions, we think that GNFC can use a phase-wise execution plan under which priority in next 1 to 5 years could be given to the following things. Firstly, scaling neem oil production and achieve economies of scale, and finding the right business partners in the target B2B industries we identified above. At the same time, launching a district-wide evaluation plan and focusing on demonstrating the value that has been already created to build a positive image of the organization's initiative. In the second phase of next 5 to 10 years, we could look at expanding and doing a pilot in neem cake business in poultry industry and expanding our B2B oil supplier sales in the export industry. Everything said and done, the existing neem project created a huge social impact. Though we believe that even a greater social and sustainable business impact can be created by GNFC by being a B2B supplier, wherein it leverages its already existing capability of generating high quality end product and using the other neem oil and using the byproduct, the neem cake. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you. Now, just a important and what may appear as a minor thing. Could you just go back one slide? I think it was. Okay. Yes, this one. So look at the graphics you've selected, and this, by the way, any of the other teams listening, I noticed this as well on a couple, where what you've done is you selected a graphic where your main audience, the main group, is actually women. So you've got here seed collectors and aggregators, mostly women. Your iconography that you picked is masculine. Sometimes it just takes going through with an attention to detail, going, if your benefit is about a particular group, create something that's representational of them. It's more impactful for your communication on it. And I have to say, the farmer doesn't look like a neem farmer. He looks like he's got corn rather than rice behind him. Anyhow, so question for you on this one, and this is definitely taking on a question that Saurav has asked earlier, is they've made great impact on this, but what's the economic sustainability of this program the next couple of years? Because you suggested that I take away part of your suggestion is, well, you've done this, but there's other things you could be doing better, invest in that. So how do you see the economics of these two parts play out over the next 3 years? Are you looking at cross subsidies from other parts of the bigger business? How would you measure success in terms of that kind of cross subsidy if it's not going to be break even for a while? Because economies of scale are beautiful, but if they take too long or it takes too big, they're not actually a viable truth. So I'm just worried, like how robust did you go into the real world economics of this?
I think I'll take that question. Thanks, Joanne, for asking that question. And you very rightly pointed out that economies of scale is right, and we need to achieve economies of scale. But the fact here is, this is the annexure that we looked at while calculating the approximate business value for neem-based products only in the different industries that we are targeting. Now, we look at this market size and it is huge. And in terms of suppliers of neem, first of all, neem is used in very less quantities right now for all these things. And there is an improved scope of using it across sectors in terms of not only Indian companies, but also foreign companies. Now, when we talk about apart from the market size, when we are talking about economies of scale, I think that more than 60% of the world's neem oil is currently being produced in India, and the production capacity of in terms of the number of trees available or the number of farmers that we can have is exceptionally high. And that's why we think that neem extraction, scaling up the neem extraction business is much more easier while compared to scaling the further downstream operations such as FMCG. And I think that's why the business impact that we can see can lead to a break even for very much closer to than what we saw in FMCG market, which is still a loss-making market for them. If anyone else wants to add point.
Yeah, I'll just add that compared to FMCG business, we see this foray as being a B2B oil supply as a more economically feasible in terms of leveraging on the existing capability which they've already built in extracting the oil, and doing lesser expenditure on the R&D part of it, because firstly they don't have the same expertise as as the fertilizer business, and also the reduced marketing expense which they would need in case of FMCG business.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for having that slide on hand. Nice work.
Thank you, Joanne.
Saurav, over to you.
Yes, thanks. Sorry, my place has become a bit dark, but I hope you can hear me. Now, I like the idea that you are talking about coming out of FMCG and supplying the neem oil in whichever industry that it is utilized. So that certainly cuts down your cost and makes the business viable. Do you see any organizational risk in doing this? I mean, the whole business of neem oil, etc. What kind do you sense some kind of risks as an organization that it has in getting into this business, sustaining it for a long while?
I think first of all, of course, one of the major disadvantages of being a supplier is that you need long-term relations. And in case that, for example, Ayurveda is one sector that if GNFC wants to enter at a later point, it needs, there's an organization, in terms there's a risk that if you become a very reliable supplier to one, later entering into your own business can be a challenge. Then people won't trust you with it. So that is one of the challenges that you have to go with. But one more challenge is that, for example, they want to have a better brand awareness or brand image. That is much more easier in terms of B2C, which they'll not be able to garner so easily if they are a B2B supplier, as the people perception is not very clear about a company at the beginning. If anyone else wants to add.
Yeah, Abbas, your answer was more about market risk or customer, not about organization risk. So one more chance if somebody wants, otherwise it's okay. I mean, you may not have thought about it, but I'm specifically talking about an organizational risk, which is very internal. I'm not talking about external market uncertainties, acceptability and stuff like that.
So I can take that up. So I think when you're becoming a B2B supplier, your business has to scale up proportionately in the coming years. So one challenge is basically making sure that your growth is very slow and organic, because there's rapid expansion in terms of extraction or getting neem seeds. And I think that might be organization risk in terms of expanding rapidly or increasing the workload of the current workforce which is there. So you might need to have a slow and organic growth in that case if you are becoming a B2B supplier.
Okay, I'll go with that. Thank you, Tim.
Also, just an add-on.
It's okay, Abbas. We'll have to move on. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges and team Arcos J. Now, moving on to the final presentation. Ironically, it's numero uno. So, calling them. Please come and present your slides.
Hello, am I audible?
It's a little faint.
Hello.
Yeah, it's better.
So good morning, everyone. We are team numero uno from IIM Ahmedabad. And in this study, we have basically tried to critically analyze GNFC's NEEM initiative on various parameters like the social impact it has caused, the business impact it is having on them, the ecological impact, and the long-term and short-term perspectives of the initiative. So first of all, I would like to start with the impact of the NEEM project, and along with it, some threats which the project is facing. So a major social impact which we saw in a report was that it is providing social equity to the marginalized group of people. As we can see that the marginalized communities have higher participation than their average in population in the NEEM project. Another thing which is a major part of the social impact is the women empowerment. One major thing which I would like to point out is that 12.8% women have reported that the occurrence of domestic violence has reduced. Why has this happened? This has happened because their income has increased. So once their income power generation increases, what happens is that they get more equity into the saying of what will happen in the household, and they basically are able to generate assets for their household, like buying livestock, and they're able to invest further in the education of the kids, and they're also able to increase their healthcare spendings. When we talk about business impact, at the end of the day, they are a fertilizer company, and we cannot ignore that aspect of the business. One thing which they are doing is they're benefiting the core market of fertilizers. They are working with rural people, and they are farmers. And when these farmers, they will spread the positive word of mouth about the project, and they will tell other people also, like they are benefiting us. Then the people are more likely, when they go out into the market and they are buying urea, they are more likely to remember GNFC's name while buying it, which will impact their primary business in a positive way. Now I would like to move on to the threats. The major threats which we have listed out is, first is the policy threat. Basically, the governments around the world are trying to cut down on urea usage, but if they are promoting the naturally made manure more over urea, this can decrease the sales of GNFC. The next thing is technology. There are new kinds of urea coming in market which are not neem coated. They are basically spray-on urea, which are more effective than the urea which is currently available in the market. This can impact GNFC. One thing which is related to the FMCG business, which we found out, is that if we go on Amazon or Flipkart or any of these online retail chains, they are not visible even in the top 20, top 30 list. Then there comes pricing. We know that they are majorly selling their products at the rural markets, but they are charging a price premium. They are basically selling their products for as much as 33.3% higher rate than their competitors. Now, they have a goodwill among the rural people, but in the long run, as the budgets are stringent in a rural household, what can happen is that the people might pull off from buying their products and buy some cheaper alternatives, which are also selling the neem products. They are kind of indifferent to the quality difference which they are providing. Next comes the credibility. We found out that there have been some researches going on into whether the neem coated urea is actually beneficial in providing some additional benefit over non-coated urea. So when these studies were conducted under the lab conditions, we found out that there was like 10 to 12% growth into in yields of crops. But when we talk about in the real settings, in when the farmers are not educated, they don't know how much urea to use and how to use it and when to use it, it is actually not as effective as they advertise it to be. So in the long run, this can persuade farmers to move away from neem-coated urea, and the government is also planning to introduce sulfur-coated urea into the market, which can further reduce the demand for neem-coated urea. Now I would like to invite Lalit for the next slide.
Hi, good morning. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hi, good morning, everyone. I'll be discussing GNFC's NEEM projects foray into the FMCG sector. So, as we know, Mr. Gupta had a vision of building a NEEM vertical by utilizing the excess neem oil, as we learned from the case study. And this, evidently gave birth to NeoNeem, which was their NEEM venture into FMCG. So our team has tried to analyze this venture with respect to the urban and the rural markets. Just to conclude that way, we see that a significant percent of urban dwellers are inclined towards paying a premium for the herbal products, but this is also impacted negatively by their poor marketing and product differentiation, especially in the urban marketplaces where these things matter when we're talking about urban stores. The rural market, we have seen the traditional value of neem and the goodwill of GNFC that they've built over the years with their CSR projects allows them to command a price premium. But we see that this also is a game in a gray area because it becomes a very critical factor for quality indifferent customers, which is especially the case in rural markets where people are very critical about the price point for what they pay. So as you can see, we have in the charts also, we have shown how Himalaya and Patanjali soaps are as cheaper as 50% of the price point of what NeoNeem is giving. So this is something that GNFC must focus on. Moving on to our group's analysis, this is some of the suggestions what we have tried to incorporate in our analysis, as you can see with the numbers as well as the social impacts. The first major thing would be to advertise, especially in urban areas, for positive reception, because you cannot have product differentiation as good as Patanjali or Himalaya, where we have big names such as Baba Ramdev. In order to build that product differentiation, we have to, GNFC have to, invest heavily in marketing, especially in urban marketplaces where, unlike rural marketplaces, we do not see a very high value of traditional importance to neem. Moving on, in rural areas, as I mentioned, price competition is a major thing. We have to focus, GNFC have to focus on playing with the prices. Their price premium is not going to help them in the rural marketplaces, especially their deals with canteens and defense workshops, as we had in the case. Again, with the urban marketplace, premium product reception has to be good with marketing. Another major thing that we came across is the rise of in-house gardens in urban households. So what we can do is take this further in this direction and contact with nurseries in urban households where they can advertise their organic manure and diversify their FMCG foray, especially in the urban marketplace. So something in that direction would be wonderful to build that market differentiation that I discussed earlier in the urban marketplaces. So yeah, that's about it. I would love Pranay to take this ahead.
Yeah, so I would be covering the alternative strategies that GNFC could have adopted to consume its excess neem oil. So first of all, what GNFC could have done is straight away sold it to third parties. And let's say while I'm talking about third parties, first of all, they could have targeted external chemical and fertilizer companies, because first of all, they were also facing a similar situation that GNFC was facing, that they were not able to source quality and cheap excess neem oil at a reasonable price. Apart from this, they can also sold it to external herbal companies, like they can straight away sell their excess neem oil to Patanjali and Himalaya and let them use it in their products. Another market, which is a growing market that we found, was of nutraceuticals, and this market has had received a great boom during the COVID period, where people moved towards these kind of product towards herbal supplements to increase their immunity. And it is expected that this market will grow to, let's say, USD 18 billion by 2025. And to venture into this market, GNFC could take two ways. We can either sell the excess neem oil to nutraceutical companies, or we can create our GNFC can create its own product line. But we as a team recommend that GNFC should straight away sell its excess neem oil to nutraceutical companies like Bionova Life Sciences and Chaitanya Agrobiotech, because they can make a better use of it, and GNFC does not has the capital expenditure capacity in terms of their limits. So I think that would be better. And now they've, in constraint of time, they will be carrying forward the PPT.
Yeah. So I'll be talking about
till next slide.
Yeah. So I'll be talking about GNFC's measure of the social impact and effectiveness in the long term. So GNFC has created a large positive impact on the lives of the urban and the rural poor. Now, this project, the NEEM project, is going to help GNFC in the long term. One of the ways in which it will help is by increasing their customer base. So the corporate social responsibility project will create goodwill among the rural and the urban poor, and this will help increase the visibility of GNFC. Moreover, they have increased the disposable income of these groups and have also provided employment, so that will also increase their customer base. Apart from this, one of the major ways in which the project could help GNFC in the future is that one of the threats that was mentioned by my teammates was that the government is discouraging the use of inorganic fertilizer.
So
GNFC
can exhausted your 10 minutes, you finish in 20 seconds.
Yeah. So they can use that to now produce organic fertilizers using neem seed cake, and also use the supply chains already set up to collect neem seeds to produce or to collect rural garbage waste. So our analysis has shown that the project has had a large positive impact, but it is lacking in effectiveness and efficiency. So the contribution of the NEEM project in GNFC's financial reports has been declining since 2017, except for a spike in 2020 to 21, but that we can discount as an outlier. There is a need for GNFC to invest into marketing to increase brand awareness and visibility, and also invest in research so that they can further push their FMCG product lineup. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Firstly, thank you for the detail that you have put in and up in your presentation. And I like the fact that you've identified. This is definitely a case of being able to seeing the value of crowdsourcing and diversity of viewpoint, isn't it? As you listen to the different groups, your own as well as the earlier parties and teams that have been here. So my question to you is coming in from just a different angle, because at this stage of the game it's about exploring, is did you look at, and to what extent do you feel any of the customer segments that you've identified or that GFC already works with actually value the social impact? So we know our founder does, but to what extent do any of the customers actually can place some value on the fact that?
I would like to answer that, if you allow me. Can you go back? Answer that, if you allow me. Can you go back? The next slide, please. Yeah. So as you can see, we have someone close off their mic.
So your voice is just dropped.
Close off their mic. Ms. Can you please
Yeah. So I mean, that's in the retail side, but this is in the retail side, and you already identified that a significant part of the business, real business, is B2B.
Yeah. So basically,
So
what
I'm curious.
That 90
it's being covered elsewhere, so I thought I'm volunteering you guys in.
I'm sorry, I could not hear your question actually. The voice is breaking. The voice is echoing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll do my best to lean into the microphone. Okay, so this is retail. So okay, so step back into GNFC overall as an organization that you've looked at, and some of your suggestions, some of the other places that they could go into. You suggested nutraceuticals, for example. My question is, to what extent do any of these markets or customers that they have relationships with outside of the FMCG space, do the customers actually value the social impact? Is this something you took a look at, i.e., where is it adding to competitive advantage in the market, where it's not just about economics and product quality, it's just the social impact actually going to be a contributor to competitive advantage?
Yeah, Joanne, if I heard you correctly, you're saying that what is
Joanne,
if I heard you correctly, you're saying that what is the social impact of how customers, visualize the social impact of GNFC. Is that what you're asking? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. So the customers don't. My question is not about the FMCG space. It's about the other verticals.
Yeah. So definitely, even in the rural households. Yeah. So definitely, even in the rural households, the CSR objectives of GNFC, they are very thankful to what GNFC has done for them in their rural households, and they can be a primary customer objective of GNFC. Apart from that, what they do in rural spaces also has impacts as it makes sounds and vibrations in the urban marketplaces as well, which branding for GNFC. Any of my other team members would want to add anything?
If I may answer. So, Johan, what happens is, like in rural places, the word it spreads like wildfire. They have other CSR approaches also, which they are doing in the rural households. They are not just giving them opportunity to work, they are giving them a skill. They are teaching them how to do something. And these things actually matter. So in rural India,
Akhil, look, I totally nutly get the social impact on the social human side at the rural area. What I'm asking, and this is coming in from the competitive side, GNFC sells its products to other people. So my question is, outside of the FMCG space, the retail space, did you consider whether there are any segments on the business side or the B2B side where the social impact would be valued?
Yes, Joanne. So basically, they sell fertilizers. And the people to whom they're selling these fertilizers are basically farmers who do not have enough land or who do not have any land. But even the farmers who do not have any land, they borrow some land to till on. And when they are they need fertilizers for their land. So they will also see, because fertilizer is a commodity, first of all, everyone is selling it at the same rate, more or less. The rate is fixed in India. So they will also see if everyone is selling it at the same price, why don't we buy it from someone who is benefiting us outside of their business also? That's how it will convert it to their primary business.
Okay, so you see that virtuous cycle is actually in operation. Thank you very much.
Okay, team, you have made a lot of suggestions. You have said that they can sell neem oil to nutraceutical companies, and they can get into organic fertilizer. But at the end of it, I didn't see a very clear-cut suggestion. I mean, a very clear-cut strategy saying what is it exactly that you want GNFC to do? Do you want them to get out of selling soaps? Do you want them to focus only on oil? Want them to focus only on organic fertilizer? What do you as a team think are some of the concrete things that they need to do?
I would like to take this.
Yeah.
So first of all, so we did not give towards the end a conclusion because we were trying to address each problem statement at once. So what you are saying is totally correct. What we think as a team is that, first of all, if you will, while analyzing their annual reports, something which struck out to me was that during the last 3 or 4 years, the mention of neem project has been declining at a very quick pace. Like in a 300 or 350 page report, the neem project is being mentioned once or twice. And that is not a signal of a project which is being run efficiently or effectively. Plus, they do not specifically release any data regarding to their sales and how they are, even if they are benefiting or profiting from the in this initiative. So I think, first of all, they should, as a team, we think that they should not go into the FMCG sector. They do not have this expertise. They do not have a good product differentiation. Plus, they are not trying to target the correct market, because their the lowest price product is their highest selling product. But even that product is highly priced than their competitors. Instead, what we think is that they should choose other alternatives to consume their excess neem oil, which, as we mentioned in the slide, is either to sell it to external parties or, let's say, sell it to other nutraceutical companies.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for giving the opportunity. It was nice presenting here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
With that, we actually are done with the final presentation for today. And before we go ahead, I would just like to say that it's been amazing working alongside all of you and learning from all of you. And we want to extend our gratitude to everyone, the judges, the mentors, the participants, the team, everyone else who made it happen. And I think it's been a great journey of not just innovation, collaboration, but also like a social consciousness for all of us. And we believe that your ideas and your solutions will actually go ahead towards a more sustainable future. And I think what truly stands out for me personally is that despite having the same case and almost similar resources, yesterday and today, both days, the solutions that actually came across were very distinct, and we could see how your expertise and your individuality actually shine across, and how your experience personally helped you build on the points and provide suggestions. And we really hope that this event has not just been a platform for showcasing your problem solving skills, but also actually made sure that you learned from everyone else around you and actually become more committed towards social responsibility. And I really hope you all stay connected as individuals and as organizations and as countries together. And I'm really, really happy that we were able to carry out this initiative. And if the judges have any words that they would like to share with their team members and with us, that would be great, as like a closing remark.
Joanna, please go ahead. You are muted.
Have these.
Muted.
I was unmuted and then I was muted again. Stay unmuted. It's been an absolute delight to have these 3 hours with you and to see the diversity of thinking, the depth of thinking that you've had around this question. And in particular, the way that it's so apparent that as teams, you've come together to bring different angles in to create a stronger outcome. We deliberately were not asking the most obvious, simple questions, because if you've already thought about it and done the analytics, that's good. So we're asking questions to see what else you thought about it. So I was really delighted at how many people were going, well, actually, and then there's this, because it shows the rigor of what you thought through, but also the very practical thing. The strategy work is quite often, we're having to think on our feet. So let me say a huge round of applause to each and every one of you, to your advisors and mentors into it, to this school for putting this particular program on, because it takes so much organization behind the scenes to create a global challenge like that you've just done. It's absolutely spectacular. I wish absolutely each and every one of you the best success in your careers as you go forward, and no doubt our paths will cross at the same stage in the future.
Thank you so much for your kind words, ma'am.
Over to you, Sarah.
Thank you. So I mean, I'll just say that I echo what Juan said, and we also said it yesterday about the diversity of ideas that has come across. Many teams have impressed with the depth of analysis, and I largely focus on that because, for me, creativity is fantastic, but when you are student of business and management, then your creativity needs to be backed up with solid analysis. Yes, there are a lot of unknowns out there, and you will not be able to get the real answer, get the specific answers. But finally, the value of your argument lies in the amount of analysis, which means amount of hard work you have been able to do. So I have been judging the teams on that primarily. But certainly, once you do that, then the other elements like your ability to express what you have in mind, structuring your thoughts, slide design, all of these matter. But at the heart of it, it is so much, at least at this stage, is about analysis, because without your analysis, stuff, you can speculate a lot of stuff, but I don't understand whether that is practical or not. So that would be my takeaway at this level. But it was nice spending time with all of you, listening to different presentations. It has been a long one. We started at 7 p.m. Last night, somewhere. Good that we could take a break at least in the night. But I think if the organizers had their way, then maybe they would have asked me to continue right throughout the night. But at the end of the day, it's great to see such an effort put up by students, and whatever I heard, it has been an enormous effort by the organizers, and it's really delightful that schools like ours, which were traditionally believed to be business schools, are now rightfully focusing on issues pertaining to society, issues pertaining to environment. And that's the need of the hour, that we cannot just look at, we must try to look at as much as possible all these multiple dimensions in deciding about how our organization should do. So at the end of it, congratulations to all the organizers, and my advance congratulations to the winners.
Thank you so much, dear judges, to all the participants. Thank you everyone for making the GSRC event what it was. And now continuing on the previous tradition. So can everybody just smile? We'll take a break here. Thank you so much. So
before ending this meeting,
yes.
Yeah. So thank you for being part of this incredible global social responsibility challenge. Your patience, talent, and dedication have made this event a resounding success. Together, we have witnessed remarkable presentations, mentorship, and innovative solutions with the power of transform lives and communities. I extended my appreciation to the participants, mentors, jury members, and organizing committee for their invaluable contribution. Let us remember that this challenge is a global movement calling for action and a better future. Continue your novel pursuit and make a lasting impact. Thank you all for being part of this journey. Thank you.
So organizers, can you just confirm whether you have received my scores? Because I used your platform and I just clicked release scores to the organizers.
Sure, I will confirm you over the mail.
You will do that? Okay, thank
you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.